Welcome to Cleveland Skateboarding Storytellers. Today, my guest is Eric Viccarone. Hey, Eric.
What's going on? Sorry.
you're you're looking at it.
Yeah, I was going to sip my coffee. I got caught off track there.
Take a sip, man. You can take a sip.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
Well, hey, thanks for doing this. I'm super excited. There's a lot to talk about. I want to get into your story so people can get your background, but also, man, you've got a lot of current exciting stuff going on. Before I get into that, in case there's people listening that don't know who you are, I assume probably most people around Cleveland know who you are, but I'm sure there's kids out there that maybe they don't. And I know that there's people watching this and listening to this in other states. I've been hit up by people in other countries and that are interested in this. So I think it's cool to let people know who you are. So I'm going to first refer back to this story I wrote about you on the Cleveland Skateboarding Instagram thing here. Let's see here. This was story number 20. Well, let me get my glasses on because I'm blind. Eric Viccarone, born 1990, started skateboarding 2001. The Pride of Parma. Eric was born in Las Vegas. He moved to the Cleveland area when he was 3 years old. He grew up in Parma. Him and his friends would ride their bikes up to the old State Road skate park to skate all the time. When Eric was just a teenager, he started getting very productive with his skills on his skateboard. Within those teen years, he had parts in local videos, What's Really Good, Autumn, the West Side video, Baller Status, and Windows and Doorways. Side note, Cyril Jackson also lived in Eric's basement for a period of time when they were both teenagers. So much talent brewing under one roof, I'll say. Without Eric's knowing, an older friend and local Cleveland skateboarding legend, Junior, took Eric's part in Windows and Doorways and sent it around to skate companies, hoping to get Eric hooked up with a big company. One day, it paid off when Eric got a call from the team manager for Alien Workshop. Eric thought it was a prank. Remember, he had no idea that Junior was doing this for him. One thing led to another, and Eric moved to California when he turned 18. He got flow sponsored by Alien Workshop, Venture, Hubba, and Osiris. He was working hard to make his place skating and touring. Despite his amazing talent and dedication, the skateboard industry did what the skateboard industry does. Oh, believe me, Eric, I know all about that.
Yeah.
Companies were sold, team managers changed, and Eric suddenly found himself back at square one. Eric moved back to Cleveland in 2011 and put out one more part in the local video, Hot Damn. After that, he was burnt on the roller coaster ride of hope and loss from sponsors. Eric didn't skate for several years until a chance encounter on a job site with our hero, Gary Spear. Gary put his foot down and got Eric back out skating once again. P.S. Thanks, Gary. Eric started going out skating and having fun with Gary and friends, and Eric has been back at it, ripping as hard as ever. Eric is currently living in Parma, running his own business, married, raising 2 daughters, still so talented, and skating and smiling all the time. So that's what I wrote back in 2022, man, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and man, you've done a lot since then.
Yeah.
So you born in 1990. That makes you 30. Are you 34?
35. Yep, just turned
35.
35. Yeah, January.
Jeez, oh
Yeah.
Pete. Wow,
Yep.
man.
2 days
Um,
away from a New Year's baby.
all right. Well, I'm going to cut right to that topic. This was a topic I was
Yeah.
talking about with when I had Derek Ironwing on here,
Oh yeah.
and I brought up of how uh, I'm just so intrigued at what's going on in the skateboarding community in Cleveland right now with all of you guys seem to be in your early to mid 30s and are, in my opinion, at like the top of the game. And I feel like, yes, as skateboarding evolves and skateboarders get older, they seem to be holding their level high, like holding a higher level later in life. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
But still, it's like usually when you go around to different cities, the skaters that are really at the top are usually in their early 20s. And
Yeah.
I just really notice how you guys are just how are you guys what are you guys doing? What are you guys drinking? What are you eating that you're in your early and mid 30s and skating at the level you are?
Oh man. I think that's just it though. I not drinking. I quit drinking. Well, it's only been about 6 months. But I stopped drinking back in June. And I just been trying to do everything everything in my power to just try to stay young. Like just trying to exercise, eat right, no drinking, no partying. I mean, I can't really, I'm not like I've been like a heavy drinker or anything, but it's, just trying to do everything I can to stay at the level I want to stay at the level at.
Yeah.
And maybe from the outside it looks easy, but man, it's not easy. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm
yeah,
sure.
it's,
I'm sure, but still, I mean, you still have the talent and the legs to do it. I mean, it's obvious,
yeah,
and
appreciate that.
to be in your mid 30s and skating at that level is really impressive. And so for anybody listening to this that doesn't know exactly what I'm referring to is what's currently just happened is Derek Ironwing released his video 216, which is a pretty big deal. There's been a lot of really good videos being released in Cleveland lately, but Derek's is definitely has a lot of momentum behind it, and it has just I mean everybody's top notch. Don't get me wrong, but right now, the Derek's video 216, you have the ending part in,
Hmm.
and it's pretty awesome
Oh,
to
thank you.
say the least.
Thank
So
you.
so
Yeah.
yeah, anybody listening to this wondering like, what are these guys getting at? What are they talking about? That's what I'm talking about. Is you know, 35-year-old man just releasing a full on top notch part while raising two kids and whatever else you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a lot of juggling, a lot of juggling.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But
Um, so I wanted to ask you this. Now I have filmed with Derek before, but just like out with the crew, with you and everybody else, and just getting a clip like when it happens.
yeah, yeah.
What what was it like filming with Derek? 'Cause he's been working on
Um,
this for a while, right?
yeah, almost, yeah, 2 years. 2 years, pretty much
Yeah,
just almost exactly 2 years.
yeah,
Yeah, we got our first, I got my first clip in February of 22, and it was released in uh, December of 24.
yeah.
So yeah, just about 2 years.
So
Um,
with filming him, is he like really like? Is he a good motivator? Is what I'm getting at. Is he
yeah.
like, hey man, come on, let's
Oh,
do this. Weather's
yeah.
warm. We got to go. We got to,
Yeah. Yeah, it was a big time motivator for sure. Yeah, there was no not that it was like all serious. We had a ton of fun, but it was
Sure.
like kind of like, we're all busy. We got families. He's got work. I mean, he's just bought a house too, so he's super busy. And it's like when we go out, it's almost like it's kind of business. Like, I'm getting out. I don't want to waste my time. He doesn't want to waste anybody else's time. So it's like it's constant like, yeah, let's go skate, but what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Like, what's the plan? Like,
Yeah.
it was all kind of, every time we went out, it was like kind of planned. Like, it was never, there wasn't a whole lot of, uh, just go skate and see what happens kind of
Right.
thing,
Yeah.
which was great for me because I'm like, all right, good, let's go get it. I'll go, like, I'm just trying to get it, get done, and get home to the kids and the family. So it's
Yeah.
kind of good for me. Like, all right, it's either get out,
Yeah.
get something, or don't.
Would he
But
ever? Was he? Would he ever be like calling you guys? Maybe you weren't reaching out to him necessarily to go, but him reaching out to you saying, "Hey,
oh, definitely, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, 100%, all the time. He was always messaging me like, yo,
that's great."
you at work today? What's going on? Like, because his job was like, it was cool because I own my own business, so it's not to say that I don't have to work, but it's like I'm lucky enough where it like if it's like noon, it's like all right, yeah, I could jet out of here early. There was a lot of that. Um, And with his work, it's like he would work for 2, 3 months at a time. He'd get on like a commercial or something, and then he'd be like MIA. But then when he wasn't working, it was like skate, skate, skate. It was so he's constantly hitting you up like, can you get out today? Like, let's get out. Like, let's go skate. And he was, man, dedication was, he was super dedicated. Like, he wanted to make it happen. And he set that 2-year timeline. And like, from the get-go, he's like 2 years, that's it. Like, once we hit that 2-year mark, like the video's out. Like, we're done.
That's awesome.
And it was like tough at the end because like a lot of us kind of like I can't speak for everybody, but I know for me it's like I felt like I didn't start hitting a stride till like maybe a year into it. Like that last half of it was when I was really like uh I felt like I was almost progressing and like I was getting better stuff and I was like, man, I wish there was like 2 more years because it's like I just want to
Yeah.
keep going. But I get it and it's yeah, he said 2 years, that's it, and he cut it off.
Yeah, it's weird how when finish a video project, you could either finish it when you're kind of in a slump and be
Right.
like, "Thank God that's over," you know,
Yeah, right, right.
or you finish it and the deadline's there when you're on an upswing and you're like, "Oh my God, like I could get more now. I have more
Right,
ideas now," you know.
right. Yep.
That's really cool. That's so important in a filmer is someone that is motivated and just
Yeah,
like trying to get you motivated because it can be obviously really easy to just be not motivated, and then if no one's calling you or pushing you, you're like, okay, well, I guess I'll just slack off, right?
right. Big time.
So it's good to have that, and then obviously he believes in you, like all you guys that have full parts, that he believes in you guys, and that's huge to have someone on the other end of that lens that's like believes in what you're doing.
Yeah,
So it just
definitely.
makes you feel good and like, okay, like what I'm doing is good. And it's because I'm sure, we all second guess ourselves when we're filming stuff. And if you're out with the wrong person, then it's just like, oh my God, like this guy doesn't even think I'm good or whatever,
Yeah,
or I'm wasting this guy's time.
right. 100%.
Yeah. So there's so much I want to talk to you about the video, but I also I want to dive into your history more as well. So maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll dive into your history so people
Okay.
could get caught up with like who you are and where you came from and where you've
Yeah.
been. And then we'll circle back and we'll talk about the double set at the Justice Center.
Yeah,
So,
sounds good.
so you were born in Las Vegas.
Yes.
When did you come to Cleveland and why?
So the why, I'm not 100% sure. I know it was like family related. Like so my grandparents, on my mom's side, so my mom's parents, they lived in Vegas, and my mom was actually living with them at the time I was born. Um, so we were in Vegas till I was about, I want to say like, yeah, it was around like 3. I was around 3 years old, and because I know my sister she was already in school, and we still had like aunts and uncles and family here in Cleveland. Um, so again, the why, I'm not really sure, but my parents just decided like, you know what, they wanted to plant roots somewhere, and they
Somewhere
thought Cleveland,
cold.
yeah, somewhere cold, right? But they figured they plant roots somewhere where we already had family and um, a support system because my family wasn't the best off when we were kids, so it was nice for my mom to have the support from brothers and sisters, and so anyway, so yeah, we moved to Cleveland, and when we moved back, we actually lived in Cleveland for till I was about 6 or 7. And then my mom met somebody and we ended up we moved to Parma, moved in with him, and yeah, I've been in Parma ever since. Um, but yeah, my mom's big thing was just getting us in like a decent school system, and where we were living at the time, it was just um, yeah, my mom was just trying to get us out, so we ended up
Yeah.
in Parma. That's how we ended up in Parma.
Are you still in Parma
Um,
now?
yeah, yeah, I'm back in Parma.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it's kind of like it is home for me. Like I, my childhood's such a blur up until moving here because I was so young,
Hmm.
Like I don't remember living in Vegas. I don't remember
Sure.
moving to Cleveland. I remember a little bit like living in Cleveland, living at my dad's house. But my mom and my dad, they split up when I was 7. That was the whole reason behind us moving to Park. Like how my mom got us out of Park. There's a whole story. I can go on. That's a whole nother podcast.
All
But
right.
but yeah, no. So yeah, so we've been in Parma ever since. Up until I moved out. Moved to California for a couple years, and then moved back right back to Parma.
Yeah. Well, so then
So,
how did you get into skating?
so I was I was actually 10. So I got that year wrong. So I started in 2010, not 2011. Um, and my brother got into skating before I did. So I don't know if you're familiar.
Wait. You started skating what year?
2000. I'm sorry, 2001, not 2010.
I know. I'm like, no, this
Yeah.
math is wrong, man. I
Yeah, I
remember you
said
being around a long time before that.
yeah.
2001.
2000.
2001. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got that year wrong. So it was 2000 I started skating. I was 10 years old.
Okay.
Um, and my brother was a year older, but he started skating about a year before I did. Um, and he got it. So my sister's boyfriend, she was in high school, and her boyfriend was a skater. And I don't know if do you know Jeff Gonzalez and Jerry Gonzalez? Um,
Man,
there's
I might. Are they from Parma?
okay, they're from Parma, yeah.
Older guys?
Um,
Are they like my age?
no, Jerry's probably 40, 40, early 40s.
Okay.
Um, but they're from Parma.
I
They
may
hung
have
out at
skated with them
yeah,
like over the years.
they hung out up at like State Road Skate Park when that was like big.
Okay.
But anyway, they lived on our street, and Jeff and Jerry were always skating up and down the street. And um, yeah, my sister's boyfriend got my brother into skating, and he was kind of messing around. Then they became friends, and they were like, "Oh, have you ever been up to State Road Skate Park?" And my brother's like, "No," he didn't know what that was. So um, my brother got like heavily involved, and he was like going up to the skate park, and I was still riding my BMX bike around like up and down the street, and just kind of watching them. And um, yeah, we became like really good friends with Jeff and Jerry, and they had already been skating for a few years, and um, they were just like I was just watching them like man, I want to skateboard now. Like following them around on my BMX bike wasn't doing it anymore.
Yeah.
I was like I want to be in with them. So next thing I knew, I was asking my parents for a skateboard for Christmas, and yeah, it was the Christmas of 2000, and a skateboard showed up under the tree, and
What was the first board?
it was a Danny Way Alien Workshop board. It was the one with like the mask on it, um, and it was swirl. I remember the whole complete. It was Thunder Trucks, Danny Way Alien Workshop board, and the CCS swirl wheels, like the black and white swirl wheels.
Yeah.
And but I remember like circling everything like in the CCS magazine because my brother would get them because he had already been skating and he was like
Yeah.
into it. So he had the CCS magazines, and my mom was like, "Well, pick out what you want, like circle what you want, and I'll see if I can get it for you." And yeah, circled everything, and sure enough, yeah, I got a skateboard that year, and
That's
it was over after that. I was like hooked, just
that's awesome.
nonstop ever since. Well,
Yeah.
I guess that's not totally. I did stop a little bit, but yeah.
Um, I met an old friend of mine at a coffee shop today, and I don't know if you remember a guy named Jeremy Jakubka. He was,
Oh yeah,
you know him, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he was telling me a story. I said I might be doing this with you today, and so Jeremy is an old Garfield skater, but he was a
Okay.
younger generation than me, and
Hmm.
I became friends with him when I was still living in Garfield, late 90s. Like we became friends probably like 96, 97. And he was, I think, still in high school. So I was 22, something like that, and I think I was riding for Invisible. I had just gotten on Invisible at the time, and Jeremy was like the high school kid that would go out with me skating in Arctic temperatures, wherever, and he filmed me all the time. In fact, like a bunch of clips we were talking about that he filmed of me ended up like in Label Kills and all
No
this stuff.
way.
Yeah, and he was just this high school kid that I skated with. Anyways,
That's awesome.
what I'm getting at is he told me a story that he's like, yeah, I don't think Eric would remember this, but I remember seeing Eric at Roller World. He was with his brother, and Eric was riding like this just terrible, like beat up board. Like he said, it was just so bad. And I
Yeah.
guess he had like some extra decks. Like I don't know if like I had given him decks. I don't know, but he had extra decks, and he like I guess gave you a deck or something like that. And
Wow.
he was just telling me how he just trips out on just like how your journey and like where you're at and the you know I mean you've made like a lot of history making skateboard things in Cleveland. Like you've become such a great skateboarder. And he was just telling me like how much he trips out of like, God, I remember giving that this little kid with this crummy board. I remember giving him a deck. Like what a trip that he turned out to be such a great
Yeah.
skateboarder, you know?
Oh wow. That's
Anyways,
crazy.
he says
Yeah.
hello.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremy's always, I remember him like at roller. I vividly, like, he was always super cool to me. So yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I don't remember him giving me the boards, but I do remember him always being like rooting, like when I was a
Yeah.
little kid. And I just remember being like, ah, cool, this dude. Like, he was super nice guy.
Yeah. He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
So you start skating and you start ripping, you're in some videos and all that. What was so in that thing I wrote, you were telling me that you made, was it, did you made a video and Junior was the one that started sending it around, right?
That was like later. Yeah, I was like like late teenager, 16, 17. That was Windows and Doorways.
Was
That was the one that kind of got me like noticed, I guess.
that was like the first like big move that kind of happened for you, right?
Yeah, yep,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, that was like later. But yeah, there was a ton of like uh just like friends videos that we made like before then.
Did you know Derek back then? Derek Ironwing?
I knew him yeah, yeah. I knew Derek like as probably when I was like I'm trying to think of when I met because Derek kind of came around like later, you know. He didn't even live in Parma for up until he started like high school, I don't think. So I didn't really know Derek too well up until I was about like maybe 15 or 16. Um, but it was like a whole, they were kind of like a whole different like crew. Like God, there were so many skaters back then. It was like
Yeah.
I was skating more with like Joe Bressler and the Kaznick brother, like Andrew was always around filming, and his brother Mark, I skated with a ton. And like it's kind of like a lot of the East Side guys, like Guffey, like he was from Solon, like Mike Guffey, um, Jeff Mikett, like I was kind of around like all of that kind of crew.
Yeah.
And then there was kind of like a whole nother crew. So yeah, they're just I mean I skated with everybody, but as far as like filming when I was younger, it was kind
Yeah.
of more like those guys I was around.
I just came across some old footage of Roller World back in the early 2000s. I have video footage of Roller World before it was even open, like
Oh
in the
wow,
90s. Yeah, crazy, like before anything.
that's cool.
And anyways, the footage from the early 2000s, I couldn't help to notice it was packed. I mean, there were
Yeah,
so many skateboarders in that place.
yeah, it was
And I was like,
crazy.
wow, yeah, there were a lot of early 2000s was a really crazy time for skateboarding.
Yeah.
It's like every kid skated, like every kid had a skateboard.
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, that's when I got into it. So it was
Yeah.
like, you
So
know,
probably a lot of like for being a young, I mean, I was already older and moved away, but um, like when we started, it was like, dude, it was nobody. So you were like so grateful to just find someone that lived across town that skated or whatever. But early 2000s, man, you guys had a lot of opportunities to make friends
yeah,
and
yeah, we
skate
were
with.
lucky for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, so the junior, passing your tape around for
yeah,
everybody out there listening and don't know who Junior is. Junior is a older guy. He's older than me. Skateboarder. He's been around forever. He's very low key. A
Look,
lot of people have just like heard the name Junior, never seen the guy. He's pretty elusive. He's pretty
yeah.
top secret, but he's always been a huge. Um, I I I think Junior's kind of like, I don't know, if it's lack of better words, but he's kind of like one of those unsung hero guys.
Oh
Like
man, yeah.
he's just always kind of been in the shadows, but huge supporter of like local skateboarders. I mean,
Hmm.
I mean, even for myself, like I can vouch for sure. Like when I was younger, trying to come up, like in the '90s. I mean, when I say younger, I'm talking like I was like 19, 20 years old. Same thing, man. The guy was just always trying to show me anything he could, show me spots, fix spots, whatever. And then it just seems like he's always kind of been that guy for, anybody local that's trying to do something. He just wants to help. So he just took it upon himself and took that video part and just started trying to shop it around
Yeah.
the companies.
Yeah, I mean he's another one. I just I mean it wasn't even just that. Like um I met Junior at State Road Skate Park when I just started skate when I first started riding my bike up there to start skating, like, 10, 11, 12 years old. And I remember just completely I'm getting completely off subject, but just because we're talking about Junior, I have to tell the story.
Yeah.
Um, I think I was like maybe 12, and then, I started getting super into like the culture of it and like the punk rock part of it. And I thought I was a cool kid and would go up and buy I remember I bought a Clash t-shirt with some money I had from like I don't even know where I got it from, but it was at one of the record stores that was in Lakewood. And we went up to West Side Skates to I had to get like a board or something. I don't remember, but we ended up walking down the street to that record store. I can't remember the name of it. It was a popular one. But anyway, I
Like
bought a cup.
Chris's Warped Records or,
Not that one.
oh,
If you
no,
said it, I would know it.
My Mind's Eye.
That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
My Mind's Eye. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I walked in there and I'm like looking, I'm like, oh, the Clash, like that sounds like a cool band. I had no I was 12, 13 years old. I had no idea who they were, but it was like that looks like it'd be like, I'd look punk rock. So I bought that t-shirt and I put it on, and I remember going up to State Road Skate Park later on wearing the t-shirt, and Junior just ripped me apart. Like what's your favorite song, kid? Like like you don't he's like, do you even know who that is? And I just remember like putting my head down, like, and ever since then I think maybe like after he's seen me like date like a week later or something, going, because we were always up there. And I think he like felt bad, and he was just super nice to me like ever since then. And
Oh,
yeah, it's just I just figured I had to tell that story. But
he was just doing his job, man.
oh
Just
yeah,
doing his job.
100%. Yeah, I look
Just
back.
keeping kids in check and seeing which ones are out there that are possible to, kind of go down a sweeter road, you know what I mean? And
Yeah, for sure.
help guide those kids, you know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, and he did.
To some good stuff.
And that's what he did. Like ever since, like, man, I just remember like, being a kid, you like going up to a skate park, and there's always that certain person that's there that like you kind of hope is there. And it's
Yeah.
like I remember like before I go up there, I'd be like, man, I hope Junior's up there, because it was always like playing games of skate. And um, he was always like looking for ways to kind of like keep you keep you progressing, like,
Yeah.
playing, learning like his style. Like he always had his kind of own style of skating. And
Yeah.
it's like even when you're like he kind of always would try to teach. It was always like you don't have to be the craziest. Like if just you could be creative too. And like he's just one of a kind, man. It's just yeah. He's
Yeah.
Junior's amazing.
Yeah. Absolutely. So he shops his video around, and what happened? Did you get a call from Alien Workshop? Is that
Yeah.
how
So
that went
he
down?
yeah. So that the first sponsor, like real. I mean, other than like West Side Skate Shop and stuff, but like the first, yeah, they called. I was actually working. Um, I was working at Jack Prince at the time, which is like a big screen printing shop or whatever, but it was like a lot of skateboarders and stuff worked there.
Yeah.
And I was working, and got a phone call and I answered it, and he's like, "Hey, my name's," introduced himself. He's like, "My name's Chad Bowers. I'm the team manager of Alien Workshop, and I got your sponsor me video." And in my head, I'm like, like thinking it's like a prank or something. Like I'm just like laughing, like
Because you have
I
no
did.
idea that Junior even did this.
No
Yeah.
idea. Like he just that's Junior though. Like I had no idea. So like I didn't know. I wasn't expecting like, oh, you might be getting a phone call from some, like
Yeah.
it was just totally out of the blue, and I was just like okay, like yeah, like and thinking like it wasn't real. Like I mean, I was 17, like I just turned 17, and
Wow.
I'm like this isn't real. Like and he's asking me for my address, and I'm thinking like, should I give this guy my address? Like, I don't know if I should do that. Like, and but I did. I was like, maybe it is real. And sure enough, like, man, it was quick. It was like 2 days later, I just get this giant box in the mail with like six boards in it, and I'm just like, couldn't believe it. It was like, yeah, it was definitely a moment in time that I'll never forget. Because workshop at all companies too. It was like if I could have picked one,
Yeah.
that would have been the one. So it
Yeah.
was
I mean, it's
yeah, it was surreal. Like
Ohio, one of Ohio's favorites, you know?
right, yeah, made on yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
it was just yeah, surreal moment for sure.
So then what, man? Where did it go from there?
And then from there, it was like I got another call.
Well,
Um,
what year was this? This was like
that's
2000,
that was '07. Yeah, '07. I was
2007.
17. Yeah,
Okay.
so um, yeah, it was just it kind of all seemed like it was all like I took skating. It was all fun, but like I feel like I've always kind of just been my own like like not that I was never like competitive. I don't want to put it that way, but I took it like serious, like I was like if like any kid, like if I could make like every kid's dream is become a pro skateboarder, like that was my main goal. Like I remember just I was like 16, like ready to just drop out of high school, like just like I just told my mom like I just want to skate and I was like,
Especially,
ooh,
how do you, I mean, for me, things didn't come till way later, right? You know, I
yeah,
was like a
yeah,
working young man. How the heck do you go to high school? How do you go in and try to concentrate on your schoolwork
I
when you
couldn't
have
do it.
Alien Workshop sending you boards and your eyes are just like you're seeing so far in the future? Your world is just opening up.
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine that.
Yeah, it was I was at that point I was like yeah, so I did end up I did end up dropping out of high school. Not that I'm not proud of that, but um I went and got my GED, and that's when I went. This was before I even um got sponsored by Workshop. I was like filming for the video, and um I mean I kind of had hopes that something was going to happen. And I just like went all in, and my mom just she almost didn't even have a choice. I mean, I was going to school like for the first two periods. They would take attendance like the second period, and I was gone. Like I would go up to the skate park, and I actually got um like pulled over by like cops at the skate park one time, and I was like I just turned 17, or I might even been 16 because I dropped out when I was 16, and yeah, they were like questioning why I wasn't in school, and yeah, I ended up having to like go home and got in a lot of trouble that day. Um,
You were like, have you
but
ever heard of Alien Workshop?
yeah, right.
This
But
is
yeah,
why
it
I'm
was
not
like
in school right now.
right. So it was like it was even before all that. Like I was just like, yeah, just die hard like skate rat, just like anything I could do to get out and skate. I was leaving school. Um, but anyway, I'm getting off subject again. But yeah, so I got a call from workshop. That happened, and then like 2 days later, I got a call from William Prokop.
Yeah, I go back very far with him. Yep.
Yes, so he called, and I had recognized the name, so I knew it wasn't. I knew that was real. And at that point, I was kind of like, "Oh, I just got a call from workshop," and he was working for Osiris Shoes at the time. And same thing, Junior sent my tape to William. Well, he actually meant to send it to. Remember Dave? Dave Smith. He worked for iPath.
We go back to the when I first started skateboarding, Garfield Heights skater. Yep.
Yeah. So Dave was working for iPath, so Junior actually sent it to to iPath, and William got a hold of the tape first, apparently, and he's like, "Hey,
I think
listen."
they may have been living together at the time.
Correct. Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
So they were both living together, and Dave worked for iPath, William worked for Osiris. Junior sent the tape to their house, meaning for it to go to Dave, because
William jumped on it.
William seen the tape in the mail and watched it, and William called me, and he's like, "Hey, I know you were sending this, and you were sending it to iPath." He's like, "But I want to get you on Osiris if you would consider skating for Osiris." And again, I was like, hell yeah. Like, of
Yeah.
course. I'll take free
Free
shoes,
shoes?
definitely.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. If you got to it first, that sounds great.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that videotape was meant to go to iPath. So
Wow. All
there's a
right. So
chance I
let's,
would have,
you would,
yeah,
it could have been on iPath,
it could have been on iPath instead of
right?
Osiris,
Right.
which probably would have worked better for me for workshop, but that's
All right. Well,
okay.
let's pause that right there because this is a great side note for some more Cleveland skateboarding history, right?
Yeah.
So for people listening that don't know who William Prokop is, he's a really old friend of mine. We go back probably to the early '90s. I think I first maybe met him skating in Central Howard down in Akron. He rolled with Mike Larkey a
Hmm.
lot back in those days. And both of them were, some of the first people I think around the Cleveland area rolling around with video cameras like regularly. Um, William, I think, made a video called, oh man, William, if I get this wrong, I'm sorry, but I think his was called Worthless, maybe. I don't know, but William made a video. Larky went on to making Where the Fun Begins and Focus. Those were monumental kind of Cleveland videos.
Huge.
Yeah, so those guys, or William, and I believe when I always knew William back in Cleveland, I think he was always living in North Olmsted. So I'm pretty sure, he comes kind of from that side of town. So yeah, long time, old time Cleveland skateboarder, used to skate downtown with him almost every night in the '90s. Dave Smith. Dave Smith originally came from Manaway, and him and his brother Sean, his family moved to Garfield Heights, just about 6 streets away from where I grew up. They moved there the same summer that I started skating, the summer of 1988. So Dave Smith, his brother Sean, and me, we all started skating at the same time, and we met. Like they moved to Garfield Heights, and I think we met the next week. And then Dave went on to be on Team Insanity with me, and Dave's been one of my good friends since 1988. We went to high school together. He's a couple years older than me, and then kind of to bring all this history kind of up to speed is uh, after I started making things headway with skateboarding, I moved to San Diego in 1998. Dave Smith was still working at Dandy Potato Chip Factory on the east side of Cleveland, kind of off of East 55th, I think, where it was. So if any of you Clevelanders remember Dandy Potato Chips, Dave used to ship those and get us free chips all the time.
Nice.
So after I got set up in San Diego, California, I convinced Dave to move in with me, probably 1999. Got him a job at Trans World Shipping Magazines. Then I think he moved over to Track across the street to Tracker. Went on to um, team manager for Tracker. Then I think he got the team manager job for Vans for quite a few years. And then after
Okay.
that, he became the team manager for iPath. And and then William, after I had moved to California, I think William moved away somewhere else. And I don't know where he went. And then I ran into William. I think I was doing a demo up in Oregon or something like that. And William was there. And
Wow.
this was the early 2000s. And we got to talking and reacquainted. And I said, you should move down to San Diego, come down and be with us. So William ended up moving down. His whole story I get a little foggier about. I think I helped him get a job at Jamie Thomas's Black Box distribution. I'm not sure how all the dots lined up for him, but yeah, after William came down, Black Box, and then William eventually ended up getting his job at Osiris. So all of a sudden you had, and then then you had us three like Cleveland guys, me, Dave Smith, William, all like
Crazy.
trying to make our shit happen. We're
Yeah, yeah.
trying to make the best with what we've got. And then so I think the time that you started making some headwind, I believe, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's when William and Dave were living together. So
Hmm.
me and
Yep.
Dave lived together. I never lived with William. I think he always had another spot, but um, and then I went one way, and then Dave and William went and moved into a place with some other guy, and then your tape probably went to that house.
Correct. Yes.
So pretty cool that like um, you had old Cleveland skaters out there. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that goes a
It-
long way. I mean, I know I can absolutely speak for myself, and I think anybody else we know that anytime a skater from Cleveland was like doing something, trying to make something, any of us were always like, oh man, we got to try to get this kid hooked up with something, you know?
yeah.
So that's cool,
Definitely.
man. So,
Yeah.
wow, you could have been on or iPath with Dave.
Could have been. Yep.
Yeah,
Could have
yeah.
been.
Okay. So the Osiris thing happened. Okay.
Yep.
Now that everybody's got that little crash course in some Cleveland history, take it from there.
Yeah.
Where to go from there?
So yeah, so then I got the call from William and he explained the whole situation with the tape supposed to go to Dave or whatever, but I was like, yeah, like that's for sure. Like I'm definitely down. And same thing, like, a few days later I just get a big Osiris box in the mail. And at this point I'm just like things are happening. Like this is, I'm showing my mom like look at this stuff. Like the people are sending me stuff.
It's
Like
pretty, dude. The
like I got
parents know, man. The
yeah,
parents
yeah.
know.
Yes,
I
yeah.
remember
I'm like, it was worth it. It was worth it. Like, this
showing
is
my parents the invisible boxes when they would show up. And my
wow,
parents knew how much that stuff cost. And my mom and dad were like, they're just sending you
right?
this for free?
Yeah, right. Especially,
Yeah.
yeah, especially middle class family. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
ours, yeah, like lower middle end class. Like
Yep.
for that, it was huge. Like getting a board, like it was like a major deal. Like it was like, yeah. So it was just, my mom was just, I'm pretty sure there was some tears at one point in there where she was like, not that I was getting, but just happy, like happy for me that
Yeah.
I was, like almost like kind of like a dream starting to come true type thing as like a
Yeah.
teenager. And, I knew,
There's people across the country like noticing your talent. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
And
it
like
was,
believing in you enough to be like, dude, we're going to send this kid a bunch of free stuff. It's amazing, man. I
yeah.
love
I
it.
mean, I was so excited just getting free stuff. I was just like knowing it's like I wanted other people to feel the same way. And I remember, I think like the second package I got from Workshop, I think I took some boards up to like Lakewood Park and was just like having kids who were doing, I was like giving away the shit I was
Yeah.
getting, and I was just like, I shouldn't be doing that. But yeah, I was just like I wanted everybody to like feel it. Like, man,
Yes.
it was just very exciting at the time. And but I knew the next steps were just like if I'm gonna actually want to pursue this, like I gotta get out to California. Like that was like the next big step for me. And yeah, and then the calls, they just like kind of kept like, and then Tony Vitello at the time was really running things for Venture and Hubba, and he reached out and um, started getting Venture, started getting Hubba Wheel, like more stuff just starts coming in the mail. And I think at that time I hadn't even turned 18 yet, and I
Jeez.
just remember just waiting,
God.
like I telling my mom, like I know I'm not, like I got to get out, like I got to move out there, like if I want to actually pursue this stuff, like I got to get out there. And it was like, you're not moving across the country at 7, like it's not happening. Like you got to wait till you're 18. And I just remember patiently waiting. Like, I got to get out there. Got to get
Torture.
out there. Yeah, and I was still 17, and Guffy, I was really good friends with Guffy. Guffy had already been out there for 2 years, and I'm like, Guffy has a place out there. Like my mom knew him real well.
Didn't
Uh,
I don't know much about him, but I
yeah,
remember the name. Didn't he get hooked up with Pete? Was he like Flow for some companies or something?
yeah, I want to say he was getting boards from like Girl or Chocolate, maybe. Girl Chocolate. I think S was giving him shoes at the time. But he was definitely getting flow from some people. like Autobahn wheels, if you remember. Do you
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
Autobahn?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a couple of people that, but he, same thing, he kind of moved out there like just ready to pursue skateboarding. I mean, I'm sure you've seen his stuff at a young, I mean, he was on a whole nother level at his
Yeah.
age too.
And
Like,
he was a Solon skater, right?
yeah, yeah, he
Yeah.
was from the East Side, Solon. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met him at Big Happy's skate park, the indoor skate park that was there for like a short
Yeah.
amount of time. Met a lot of, that's where I met like most of like I met Guffey there. I met uh the triplets, like the Akron, started meeting all the Akron people, like Kevin
Hmm.
Turpinning,
Hmm.
Chris Paff, Scott Paff, like that's how I started meeting all those and skating with all the Akron people.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I met Guffey, and Guffey had already been out there, and he was hitting me up constantly, like just like you got like we're gonna have a room as soon as a room opens up, like you gotta move in. And I was like, yeah, I'm working on it, and I'm trying to get out there. So I was working at Jack Prince. I was still working at Jack Prince throughout this whole thing because um, just putting all my checks, and I was living at
Yeah.
I was 17, so I was still obviously living at home, and I was just shoveling my checks into a bank account. And I think when I was ready to move out there, I think I had like I don't even know, $2,500 or something. And I was like, all right, that's good enough. Just about to turn eight. I think I still wasn't even 18. I was like a month before I turned 18. And finally convinced my mom. I was like, I'll be 18 in a month. Like, it's like, I got to get out there. And sure enough, yeah, she's like, all right. And, at that time, so Junior was always like, he's always like, whenever you're ready, let me know. Like, I don't even think he knew I was only 17 because he ended up driving out there with me.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and my mom knew him really well. He would give us rides home from the skate park, and we'd go street skating when I was a teenager. Junior was just always around, and at first my mom just like, "Who is this 30 something?" Because at the time, he's like,
Who's
"Who
this
is this?"
grown man?
Yeah, he's probably my
Yeah.
age at that time. Like, who's this grown man? Like
Yeah.
interested in your skateboarding? And it's just
Yeah.
like explaining the situation. But he would come over and like talk to my mom, and they almost became like, friends. Like Junior knew my mom really well. So she was like comfortable. Like I was like, Junior he's gonna drive with me, and like he'll drive me across drive me to California, and he'll just fly back. And so Junior drove with me across the country to move out there. And
So cool, man. So
yeah,
cool.
made sure I got out there, made sure that like I was like settled into the new place. And um yeah, he took me out to like a nice like dinner like before he like took off back to Cleveland. And um yeah, he was always just sending stuff in the mail, like little like notes and stuff, like don't lose sight and all this stuff. And like make always this his big thing was this like don't lose sight, make it happen. That was he'd always every time he'd said something, that was like his little signature at the bottom.
Yeah.
So
Rad.
yeah.
That's
Um
amazing.
so yeah, I finally got out there. And yeah, I could keep going on about that. I don't know.
Yeah. Keep going. I want to
Um
hear it. Everyone wants to hear it.
yeah, so
Your journey. Hey, wait, before you keep going,
yeah.
because I love when people bring up uh, other names and things, because I always think about there's people out there that don't know, or there's going to be maybe people listening to this that haven't even started skating yet, right? Maybe they're
Right.
going to hear it
Yeah.
years down the road. You mentioned Big Happy's. Big Happy's was a really great indoor skate park that was kind of where it was like Warrensville, right?
Yeah,
Kind of
Warren's yeah. Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
off the 480 near where Randall Park Mall used to be. It was a cool skate park. It was only there for a few years, right?
Yeah, I want to say like maybe 3 years. I don't even know. It didn't last too long. It was a
Yeah.
big skate park. I mean, it was like a big warehouse style
Yeah.
like skate park, so I'm sure it wasn't cheap for them. But
Yeah.
yeah, they just couldn't keep it open.
Yeah. And then also, shout out to Jacob Edwards. Jacob Edwards is an old, I mean, he's around a little younger than me, but old East Side skateboarder. Him and his partner Damien, I can't remember Damien's last name, but those two guys started Jack Prince. So Jacob Edwards, I think, even was sponsored by Ohio Surf and Skate at one time, like in the very early '90s or something like that, with his twin brother Isaac, and
Hmm.
they start and Jacob started Jack Prince, which Jack Prince went on to be a massive, massive like printing, screen printing, all kinds of printing company in Cleveland, and always hired a lot of skateboarders.
Yeah, they're all skateboarders, pretty
Yeah.
much.
So, anyways, all right. So
Yeah.
keep going with your story.
Yeah. Oh yeah, side thing too. So Burkholder was like Brian Burkholder. He
Yeah.
was like kind of like my he wasn't really my boss, but he was always the first one in there. So it was cool. So like I convinced them because I think when I first started working there, it was like I was scheduled from like 8 to 4 or something like that. And I remember trying to convince them like, can I get in there? Like I want to get out as early as I can so I can go skate and stuff. And like pretty much told them. And they were just like, yeah, we respect that. Like, yeah, you could start at like, so I ended up starting at 6.
Wow.
And Burkholder was always the one to like, he like opened up the shop in the morning. So it was cool. So like I would go in and Burkholder would already be like just getting in. Like
Oh,
he
he
would
loves
start at
getting
like,
up early, man. That
yeah,
Burkholder loves the morning.
he was there at like 5:30. So when I'd first get there, I would try to get in like a little before 6. So I'd have like 15, 20 minutes just to like sit in his office and like hang out and kind of bullshit with him.
That's cool.
Uh, but yeah, so that was a little like side thing. I wanted to shout out Brian Burkholder for
Yeah.
letting me
Uh,
hang out with him.
Brian Burkholder, for those that don't know, another amazing, still ripping to this day. I think Burkholder's going on 51. I think he originally came from Medina.
I
I could
don't
be wrong.
know.
Sorry, Brian, but I still skate with. But I mean, we do. For anybody out there, like we skate with Brian all the time. He's probably 51 years old and is just still charging at it, man. Just always been
Yeah,
one of like Northeast Ohio's treasures. One of the
yeah,
best. You
yeah.
know.
I used to loved watching his parts and like where the fun begins and focus. And
Yes. Yes.
oh man, I remember the Burkholder part would come on and I'd get all hyped.
Yes. Yeah.
But
Me
yeah,
too. Me too.
so
Still
yeah,
to this day.
yeah. So yeah, I thought I would just mention that. But working
Good.
at Jack Prince
Yeah.
and hanging out with a skateboarding legend, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
So
back
you're out in
to
California, man. You're doing it. You're How old
yeah,
are you now? You're 18.
yeah. Just pretty much had just turned 18, like
What year
when I
was this?
2008.
2008. 2008. Okay.
Yeah, 2008. Moved out there, moved to Santa Monica. Lived in Santa Monica for like just a short time, like 6 months. I made it there. Um, and then William at the time, he was really kind of pushing for me, like move over here, move to Oceanside, move to, move by us. We'll get you in skating with those Cyrus guys. And I think it was a really good move for me because like I was um I was more kind of heavily involved with like Osiris than I was with any the other sponsors because it was just right there. Like moving out to California, it was like oh I can be by all like the Osiris guys, and that was kind of like could have been like in my head like that was my in with like getting actually on a team.
Hmm.
So I ended up making the move, and I actually moved in with William and Dave. Um,
I remember that.
yeah, and Dan Santhoven was living there, and he had
Yep.
just moved out, and so they
Side
were
note, should
looking.
we let's throw in a side note? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
When people drop these names, I just want people to know these names. So
especially
you
at
just
Port.
Dan Santoven. Dan Santoven
Yeah,
is another skateboarder from Garfield Heights, and
yep,
he's older than me. He's like 4 to 5 years older than me. So when I got into skating, he was like one of the older guys that I looked up to.
yeah,
Fast forward, all the years go by. I get Dave Smith to move in with me out in California, and then a couple years later, Dave talks to me about, what do you think about Dan Santoven moving in with us? I'm like, yeah,
yeah,
let's get Dan out here. So Dan moves into the apartment with us. So Dan Santoven, you got me, Dan Santoven, and Dave Smith, three skateboarders from Garfield Heights. I'm doing the black label, pro for Black Label. Dave Smith is at the time team manager, I think, for Tracker, and then we get Dan out there, and actually I think maybe Dave moved on, and Dave, I think, helped Dan get the job for the tracker team manager. And then Dan Santoven went on to he was tracker team manager. He worked for Van, I think he worked for Vans. He
Hmm.
worked for ProTech, I think.
Oh, I
ProTech
didn't know that.
helmets and pads.
Okay.
Maybe some other stuff too. But another Cleveland dude out there doing it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
then yeah, and then Williams out there, and now you're out there.
Yeah. And
Crazy, man.
oh man, I just got so many. Yeah. So Dan, I actually met Dan when I was like a little, like I was probably same thing, like 11 or 12. So Dan actually worked at, I think it was called How, or it might have been Second City. So he worked downtown, and my mom, I don't know if my mom was his boss or if they actually just worked together.
Oh
And
wow.
my mom was like, "Oh, you're a skateboarder. That's cool. My son, both my sons skateboard." And Dan was like, "Oh, that's so cool." And like he was actually friends with my mom before he even
No
knew.
way.
Like, yeah, isn't that a crazy story? Like
Wow.
just small world. And like
Wow.
Dan would bring and had already been working for Tracker and 16 skateboards. And he told my mom that we skated, and all of a sudden my mom was bringing home, he would bring like tracker trucks and 16 skateboards to work, and my mom would bring them home and give them to us. So Dan was always like looking out and yeah,
Wow.
giving us 16 skateboards. And
That's so
uh
cool, man.
yeah,
You,
small world.
it's funny that so the older generation of Cleveland skaters than me, like the guys that came before me, a lot of those Cleveland guys went and spent a lot of time like in Huntington Beach, California. That's why there's a strong link with like John Lucero and Black Label and all that stuff to Cleveland, because they
Oh,
in the
okay.
80s those guys were going out and crashing on couches and stuff in Huntington Beach. And for a period of time, like they would always refer, some people I knew in Huntington Beach would refer to Huntington Beach as Little Cleveland, because there
Oh
were
wow,
so many Cleveland skaters out there. But
that's
I would
wild.
always think like fast forward to the late 90s and early 2000s, North County San Diego was like, that was Little Cleveland. Like
Wow.
North County San Diego, with between Oceanside and San Marcos Vista Carlsbad, there was me, you were out there, William was out there, Dave Smith was out there, um, Dan Santoven was out there, Mario Miller came out there, Mike Larkey went out there, and then there were girlfriends that came along too
Wow.
with some of us, and they ended up starting lives out there. So it's
That's
really
wild.
crazy how there was a period of time where North County San Diego was, man, just filled with Clevelanders, like out
That's
of the
wild.
out of the Cleveland skateboard scene. Yeah,
That's
we
fun.
were always just like, yeah, who we got to get him out here, get him out here, get him out here, start a new life,
Right.
start. We'll help you get a job. We'll help you get a job. We'll help you meet friends or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, that's super cool. Anyways,
That's
all right,
that's
keep going.
that's yeah. That's so wild. Yeah, I feel like, and then it just like has like, well, I don't know. I'm might have stopped now, but I feel like it just hadn't stopped even with our generation, because it was like Guffey moving out there, Jeff Mikan
Yeah.
moving it. It's like even more Ohio. And at one point it was like a running joke out there when I first moved out there, because I was like later than those guys, like a lot later, like years later than when they moved out there. And like even their roommates, they're just like another like, man, you guys are just taking over. Like you're not, don't tell me you're from Ohio. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm from Ohio. It's just like
Yeah.
a joke out there. There's so many people from Ohio, like
Dude,
just moving in.
there's like something in our, I don't know what it is, man. It's just like going back to what we're talking about with Junior. There's
Right.
something in our like our, yeah, I don't like using the word scene, but in our world, our community of skateboarding in Cleveland and in Ohio, it's like if one person makes it, we're just like, come on,
Right.
like
Yeah.
you got to
That's
come
awesome.
share this with me. Like get out here, get out here. Like there's always
Yeah.
this big like looking out for everybody and trying to like
100%.
share that. You want to like share it with everybody,
You
you know?
do, like big time, man. And I just remember first moving out there, and I'll keep going on about that, but CJ was actually living in the basement of my mom's house at the time when I moved out there. So I kind of just left
Oh
CJ.
no, you left CJ.
I left
Oh,
him at my house, living at my house, and
oh,
I didn't, but it was from that day, it was always like, I'm gonna move in, I'm gonna get settled, and it was kind of like, we'll figure out a way to
Get you out
like,
there.
get you out there, and like when a room opened, like we'll figure it out. And he came out and visited once when after I had already moved in with uh, William and Dave. He came out and visited, and even he stayed for like a few weeks, and Dave was kind of just like, hey, like, he can't live, basically, like,
You can't.
cool if he visits, but like,
Yeah.
how long is he gonna be here? And
Yeah.
which is totally understandable. It's like,
Yeah.
um, so I think at that point he ended up coming back, moving back into my mom's, and he was there for a little bit, and then actually he was there for a long time because he didn't end up moving out there until I moved back. So he took my place in the house I was at when I moved back.
Oh
And I
wow.
think, and then he was out there, ever since. Um, but yeah, so like back to, yeah, it's just like trying to get everybody out there, like I was just like, how can I get him out? Like I was trying so hard to like get in a spot where I can help get him out there. And,
Yeah. Did
um,
CJ move in with you like after he? Because I remember when I first was introduced to CJ, I had just started 1031, and that
okay.
was 2006. And I remember coming back to because every time I come back to Cleveland, my buddies would always tell me who's the new hot kid, like who can I help try to hook up. And
Yeah.
then I remember that everyone was just like, there's this kid CJ, you got to meet CJ. And I remember we went and picked him up at some little place, like an apartment or something on the near west side of Cleveland, like off of
Hmm.
like
85th.
Clark or yeah, 85th, 85th.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
So I remember we picked him up from there and went skating. And I think I gave him some tricks in the friends section of like the first 1031 video, But
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
did
I
he end
remember
up
that.
moving in with you after that?
That was after. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
because he was
Or
pretty little then.
yeah. 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 It was
Yeah.
after that. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. But I met CJ like, I think I was like 14. I met him at downtown, the old metal downtown skate park.
Yeah.
We were like real young. And he, he wasn't really living with us then. He was like, we were just so close. I mean, we would skate all day and he'd come, and he was staying at my house like a lot even back then. And but he always lived with his mom. Like, his mom always had a place. I think they lived on 85th for a while, and then they lived on 65th, like in like the Little Italy area.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when he was living there, his mom was like, she was a truck driver, so she was gone like a lot, and he
Yeah.
was a teenager. And um, my mom's the one who offered. She was always like, just tell him to come stay here. Like he doesn't have to live. He's a teenager, kind of living by himself. And so I just brought it up, and I was like, yeah, you could just kind of move in. Like, just there's a room in the, we had a finished like basement in the house my mom was renting.
Yeah.
It was like a bedroom down there. So he kind of just moved in, and uh, ended up just kind of like staying.
That's cool.
Yeah. So my mom was always like that, like looking out for, the kids in the area, like who
Yeah.
didn't have places to stay and stuff. So yeah, my house was like a like an orphanage type deal.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, she was
Thanks to your
always,
mom, man. Thanks to your mom. That's great.
yeah, we always had like friends like staying at our house and stuff. So
Yeah.
um
So, all right. So back to California. You're out there. You're doing it. Then what?
so yeah, so I got out there, um lived in Santa Monica, stayed there for a few years, and then yeah, then William was always like, you like move in with us, like, and I ended up moving in with uh with William and Dave, and really started getting in with like all the Osiris guys. That's when I really started going on trips. And yeah, like the first trip I went on was like kind of like a West Coast, like up California to Arizona, like and then I was like in it, like I was going on tours with them, and getting in the van, like uh kind of just living, like kind of getting that feeling of like things are starting to happen, like
Mm-hmm.
going out filming with them all the time, like uh it was just kind of felt like it was happening, and then all of a sudden there was no real team manager at the time. Like William was kind of filling that role,
Yeah, I
and
remember that.
they didn't really have like an actual team manager. And then I would say like after like another 6 months or so, they ended up finding they hired a team manager, and that team manager kind of like came in and just started with like a clean slate. Like he still kept like like the big pros and stuff, like Shrieken and like James Brockman and all those dudes. But as far as like the AMs and the flow right, it was just kind of like I remember calling to get a box, and he's just like who are you? Like yeah,
Oh
like
man.
yeah, it was just like that whole ordeal, and I had already moved back to LA at that point. And I spent like the last like year living in Studio City area. Um, and I started skating a lot with like some Ohio guys from there, like the triplets, and I was living with the triplets at the time and skating with like Scott Paff um and then I started skating with those guys, and then Kevin was living with Scuba at the time. Scuba Steve, he was like the
Oh
team,
yeah,
and he was the team manager for S. And I started skating with them a bunch.
yeah.
And Kevin was getting hooked up by S at the time, and they were always giving me a hard time about skating for Osiris. And Scuba was always like yeah, whenever you're ready to come over to S, like let me know. And um, then that happened, and I was like almost like ashamed to even ask, like hey, like I'm down to to get with S if that's still open. Like I never like put it out there, but like the word got out, and Scuba was really cool. He was just like, "Yeah, dude, like I'll send you shoes." So then I was getting hooked up by S for a little while, and and then I don't remember kind of what I think I was I don't know. It's so like blurred. I can't remember like exactly what happened, but. And then yeah, then that was kind of like my stint out there. Like it was just I was filming, I was going on tour, everything was happening, but like the whole thing with Osiris kind of really like
It's a deflator.
eh, yeah, that was a
Yeah.
perfect like yeah, it just like bummed me out big time. I was just like, man, I was all in on this Osiris thing. Like I was almost even putting like workshop like kind of second at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm going because even when I was skating with them and there was like kind of a push for me to skate for with like the city, like remember city skateboards?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there was like a push for me to like start skating with those guys. That was through like Tony Vitello and stuff. So like Venture was trying to like push me to skate with City, and like he's like it'd be a better fit. And so I was almost at one point like considering moving to City from Workshop, but I didn't. I mean, stuck with Workshop, um but yeah, I kind of put all my eggs into the whole Osiris thing. Like I thought that was gonna be like my breakthrough, I guess.
Yeah.
And then that whole like new team manager and him kind of like he was like a SoCal dude. Like he was like immediately just started hooking his friend like now I'm gonna get
Mm, God.
wipe
Yeah.
out these
Yeah.
other guys and get my
Yeah.
buddies on.
Yeah. Yep.
Uh so that happened, and yeah, it was kind of like at that point I was just super bummed. Like it bummed me out big time. And I remember yeah, just being back in LA, like, damn, what do I like? It kind of sucks. Like, what do I do now? Like, S is like, I was like, I was getting shoes from them, but I was like, God, it was like Bobby Ward. It was like these big, like, I was like, I don't think like I can make it like skating with these guys. Like, they're
Hmm.
all like, not that Osiris didn't have like great talent, but like,
Right. It
I was
was a
thinking
little
like it
more
was,
intimidating, right?
yeah,
Maybe.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It was way more intimidating. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, these are like big name. Like S had like a stacked team at the time. Like
Yeah.
thinking like trying to make it work with them, it was like, especially starting back at square one, I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, yeah, this is yeah, it was hard, but it happened, and I Scuba was really cool with me. Like he hooked me up with S, um and then some stuff, weird stuff started happening with workshop, and workshop basically was like, uh, to stop sending me stuff, and I was kind of like, I don't know if I'd moved back by then. I think I moved back home by then. I think
Did
I
they
was
say
like,
anything, or did it just they just stop sending stuff?
no, I talked to Chad, and Chad was just like kind of asking like, because I told him I was like, yeah, I'm kind of getting shoes from S now, and um, I could tell Chad was just like, what is it, like, what's going on? Like, did you get kicked off? Like, it almost seemed like I was like losing sponsors, and
Yeah,
I think Chad was just kind of like, yeah, man, like you need like a legit shoe sponsor, like almost like we can't keep sending you stuff. Like back then it was like you needed both. Like it was like
yeah,
that
yeah.
was kind of, and I really wasn't on S. Like it was like more of like a flow type thing.
Right,
And Chad was just like, yeah, I'll send you another box, but like you got to figure out what's going on.
right.
And
So he saw it as, okay, well, Osiris isn't working out for this kid, and he's flow for S, and now he's moving back to Cleveland.
yeah,
What are we investing in here? Right?
exactly, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Man, it's it sucks. Like
yeah,
people don't really realize, when I hear people talk of like, oh, well, why did that guy, leave that company, or why did that company get rid of that guy? People are always wondering why these things happen. And man,
right,
people don't really realize how much changes just because um, a new team manager comes in. A
yeah,
new
big
team
time.
manager comes in, or a company gets sold and bought
Hmm.
by a new company or whatever. And it's like, it's, it's hard, man. I've always had this like love hate relationship with it all. And I think I've always tried to somehow find my own path and cut through it all.
Hmm.
There's a price to pay any way you go, but
For
I mean,
sure.
everybody's story is different, but it's like I would always get to this day. I just get so mad, like when I hear about, and I've just been in California so long. I've seen so much. A lot of good people. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to
Oh
like throw
yeah.
people under the bus, but I'm just saying it's like, and I'm not saying this was your situation, but it's like I can't tell you how many times I've just seen there's a new team manager and this dude just doesn't like he might not even like really skate. He might not even feel the same way you do about skating. It's very hard to
Yeah.
explain, but I'm always in the corner of the skater that is out there living in some freaking tough town, dealing with tough weather, out there with his buddy, filming night after night after night, risking emergency room visits,
Hmm.
battling, dude. It's a battle. It's like for some people for years, right? And you're just
Hmm.
trying to like carve it out. And all it takes is some dude that's just some bro. And he thinks, and not to mention, like some of these people come in and they just want to be like industry guy, you know?
Yeah, yeah, for
And they
sure.
come in and I'm industry guy and I know how to make sales happen. And
Hmm.
I'm going to just cut these guys out. And it's just nothing. And it's like, I understand it because when you do break it all down, it is a business.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
at
for
the
sure.
same time, I relate skateboard. I think there's plenty of companies out there in skateboarding that, yes, it's a business, but they do approach it much more like a real organic like thing. And the only way I can compare that to is like music. How you have some bands are just they're boy bands or they're just put together by a record label. Like just put these fancy people together and we'll do sales. But then you have other
Right,
bands that are like, you know what, like no, you know what? I'm going to just stick with my band. I'm going to stick with my members. These are my
right.
dudes. And yeah, I'm
Hmm.
not going to like get the sales and don't give me this bullshit talk about it's just business or whatever. Like I
Yeah.
think there is that happy medium there, but um that it's hard to find that, but it sucks because I hate when I hear those stories. It's always inevitable. I've been through it myself,
Right. Yeah,
and it's
right.
like, man, you work so hard, and it's just you just think about like, okay, where'd this dude come from? Like, what? Like, I don't know. I'm such a jerk. Like, I'm just I've just had my own weird experiences. Like, wait, this guy just like hangs out in coffee shops and talks about skateboarding and like shows up at the skate park and bros down with the right people. In the
Yeah, it's a lot of
meantime,
that.
like I've been like skating on like the east side of Cleveland, like trying not to get shot so I can get this clip and like
Right.
living and breathing like this subculture, like
Mm-hmm.
really truly caring about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. But I guess that's the price we pay. Like, no, no one's begging any of us to be sponsored. Like,
Right.
we don't have to be sponsored skateboarders to like make a difference in skateboarding, right?
Yeah.
But
No.
we're just trying to do it because it'd be pretty damn cool to get some free stuff, and if you could get some
Yeah.
paychecks out of it, yeah, we're and see the
Right.
world, you're stoked. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, it's just a lot of people don't really realize. They always kind of like they wonder like, oh, how did that happen? Or oh, it must have been like this, or it must have been like that. Like no, sometimes it's as simple. Some
Yeah.
dude comes in, he's like, I don't know these guys, they're out, and I'm just gonna hire all my friends from Costa Mesa. I'm going to
Yeah. It's
sponsor all my crew from Costa Mesa. And
yeah.
you're like, oh, rad. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that's how it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got jaded like real quick.
Yeah.
It sucked. Yeah, it was that was my first like real taste of like the industry, like skate, like the skate industry part of it. And
Yeah.
yeah, 'cause I mean I was going to I was 15 minutes away from, the warehouse. So it's like, it was constantly a lot of like, oh, come to the warehouse and and I was filming stuff for, it was like we want you to film a trick tip and I was doing everything they were asking of me and I was like it started feeling like a job. Like it was like, I mean, it was, I was like, that's fine. Like
Sure.
if it's gonna eventually get, a paycheck, like I'll do whatever you need me to do, and it was a lot of like, I was doing everything. I felt like I was doing everything, like filming. I mean, I was out skating every day. And in the midst of all this, it's like they want you doing all this stuff and, you got to survive too. So it's like I'm trying to work like temp jobs and grocery store, like just trying to pay
Mm.
the bills and in the midst of all that, I'm like burning bridges because like I can't, literally I had like $10 in my bank account, like not being able to pay rent and that's a whole nother story. But yeah, like so you're in the midst see, my headspace was like I was just in a bad spot. Like, when I first got there, it was all like, oh, I'm going on trips and everything was like, you know, it was all rainbow. It was all magical and I was going on trips and skating and like living this dream and that lasted 6 months before before it was like, oh shit, I gotta survive too. Like
Yeah.
so, I was just in a tough, and it was all, I was 18, between 18 and 20. So it was like, I was so young and just dumb
Yeah.
and I just had skate brain, like, and, yeah, all that happened. And yeah, it was just like, total like shock, like, damn, like, I haven't even made it yet. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, this is, this is all happening. And like, I was like on the road of like, yeah, this is like, there were talks like, yeah, like we want to start doing ads and like um yeah, I was like on the road to like uh I feel like I was on that road to like, being a pro. Like I thought at least, in my head. And yeah, that all happened and I was just like, well, yeah, I might as well just, I probably shouldn't have gave up on it so easily, but um I was yeah, like you said, best way to describe it just was deflated, man. I was like felt like I had put in so much work and like skated, did everything they wanted me to do, did like little photo shoots and trick tips and um like ads for their catalogs and like all this stuff and then that happened and I was like, no, that sucks. And then
Yeah.
and then same thing kind of happened with workshop and I know workshop was kind of in like a weird spot too. I think they were kind of looking for reasons to like trim
Cut
it
down.
down. Yeah,
Yeah.
cut down just because. And that was another thing that was real hard for me too, because trying to fit in with those guys was hard because you had Kevin. Like Kevin was so in with those guys. Like he was real good friends with like Dill and Ave, and he was already the Ohio guy, and it was
Yeah.
like Kevin's like ripping and skating with them, and he was already
Where's he from?
so I want to say he's from Canton. Like I know him from living in
Canton.
Canton.
Okay.
But I think originally he's from like the Sandusky area, like
Oh,
is
okay.
actually where he lives like now is like
Yeah.
Norwalk. Um,
Okay.
so his parents were in two separate areas, but I've always known him for being from like Canton, but I don't know if that's actually where he's from. But he's
Okay.
lived like kind of like yeah, which is like kind of like Canton and Sandusky are like
Yeah.
not even close to each other. So I don't know
Yeah.
exactly where he's from, but I always say Canton. But
Yeah.
he might be watching this and being like, dude, I'm not from Canton.
Yeah.
So
Dude, you're
so
blowing
I
it,
don't know.
man.
Yeah,
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 I don't know if we've ever met. If we have, Kevin, I'm sorry, I forget things over the years, but yeah,
yeah.
he's a name that, um, and I kind of literally like disconnected a lot from skateboard. What do you call it? Skateboard media stuff. Probably like, I don't know, 15 years ago when I started running my 1031 company. I started going through this whole thing. I didn't want to be influenced by other companies. So I just
Hmm.
quit looking at magazines and videos.
Oh,
So,
okay.
because I didn't want to know, I was like, I don't want to know what anybody else is doing. I just want to do
Yeah,
what my vision is. Right. So
yeah.
I missed out on like a lot of people doing cool things, but I
Hmm.
usually when I come back to Cleveland, I'd always have like a crew of people that would kind of keep me in the pulse of like who's doing what or whatever. But I'd
Yeah,
hear those names about was it Turpinning?
yeah.
You
Turpinning.
know, I'm a lot older and he was like a lot younger or whatever, but
Yeah,
I was just like, is he a Cleveland guy? I don't, but he
yeah,
wasn't, but he was an Ohio gate. So it was always kind of like this gray space with him. I don't really know. I was like, but then I thought someone told me, it's like, no, he's not from Cleveland. He's like from Canton area or somewhere south or
yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. But an Ohio,
Yeah.
a
Ohio.
younger generation Ohio dude holding it down. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's from Ohio, so but yeah, he was always super cool with me. Like even I've known Kevin, but me before he ever when we were teenagers, we were skating together, and we weren't like on like a I wasn't like calling him up or anything, and like, hey, let's go
Yeah.
skate
Yeah.
when
Right.
we were younger. But it was always like we really never had to do that with any of our crew. It was always like just
Yeah.
show up to the skate park or you
Yeah.
kind of knew where somebody was at. So like I've skated with Kevin forever, like forever ago. And just moving out there and then like it felt right, even like moving back to LA from San Diego. And I started because he was on S as well. And so it was like we were kind of like both getting stuff from the same company. Like I was getting flow from workshop. He had I don't know if he was already like in like on the team like on the team like at the time. Um but started skating with Kevin a lot and yeah, Kevin's just always been that dude. Like it's funny because he's kind of like a little low key too, it seems like not a lot of people know a ton about him. But
Yeah.
but then he's just like the next, big pro on workshop and Abe and Dill loved him. Um
Was he pro?
yeah, oh
Oh
yeah, yeah, he
shit!
was
See,
yeah, he
I
had a pro
told you, man. I'm clueless.
yeah, he had a
I had no idea.
Yeah, so Workshop
Wow.
turned him, yeah, they turned him pro and he went on to like do, great things. And at that
Wow.
point I was kind of already like kind of giving up on everything. I was like, I'm moving
Yeah.
back. Like,
Yeah.
like
Let's let.
I can't see two like Ohio guy like and I'm so happy for Ket like I'm so happy it worked out like and he moved on to be pro and did all these great things and at that point I was like I had moved back and I was like, yeah, I couldn't see like them being like, oh yeah, like to Ohio, like it was kind of like it just I feel like it would have been too hard. So like maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but I kind of just gave up. I was just like, can't see
Right.
them being like, yeah, we're gonna put two Ohio guys am, and it just didn't seem like there was room for it. Like,
Yeah. Right.
and I knew Kevin was on his way to like to being pro, so it was like, yeah, it's just not gonna happen for me. And
Right.
it sucked, but I was like. uh Moved on. I just kind of
Yeah.
moved on from it. Like, what are you
Yeah.
gonna do? And
So you came back to Cleveland.
yep, and then I moved
Yep.
back. Yep. I
And
moved back when
then
I was 20 and yeah, like 2010 I moved back.
wow. Okay. So you moved back, And I remember you telling me that you kind of like, obviously that took the wind out of your sails, and you kind of just
Yeah.
you hung low for a long like you laid low for a long time.
Yeah, years. Yeah, years. And I when I first moved back, I was still skating a bunch, and scuba was still really cool too. I was texting him all the time, and um, he was still kind of like hooking me up. Like he was just like, if you need shoes, let me know. Like I'll send them back home even. Like,
Awesome.
he was kind of like he was awesome, man. He was always really cool with me. And he sent me shoes back home for a few months. Like at that point, I kind of like just stopped hitting him up because I was like slowly just kind of just fading away from skateboarding.
Yeah.
But Derek was making he was filming. Like I came back home and I was like, cool, like I'm skating with my friends again. And Derek was
Yeah.
making hot damn. And I actually had come home for something before I even moved back. I came home for like a few weeks even, and I was skating with him a bunch. Like he was filming for that, so like I filmed a bunch of stuff with him when I was visiting. And then I moved back and kind of was like, hey, I'm back. Like I think I'm staying for like a while. And ended up filming like a full part with him for that video.
Cool.
And then after that, yeah, I just slowly kind of just was losing interest. I was like, yeah, just lot kind of slowly losing interest. Like, man, I need to step away for a minute and like reassess my life
Yeah.
even because I was like, what the hell am I like? I was so like skates, like my whole life was skateboarding. Like I was like gung ho, like this is it. Like I'm going out there, I'll be pro, and or I'm not that I was not like I'm not. I was like hopes of being a professional skateboarder, and like that was gonna be my life. Like I was all in, 100%. Like that's what I wanted to do, and then all that happened. And I remember moving back, just being like, dude, what do I even do now? Like I don't even know what the hell I'm gonna do with my life. Like I have to figure this out. Like do I figure out a way to get back out there and keep pursuing this? Like, is it realistic for me now? And I just remember thinking like there's no like definitive moment where I was like over it. It just kind of just happened. Like things happen.
Yeah.
Um, you know, like things kind of slowly started happening for me. My uncle had owned a painting business, and I kind of started working with him as soon as I moved back because I was like, I'm not staying. When I moved back in with my mom I was 20 when I moved back, and I remember thinking like I've been on my own for over 2 years now. Like I can't stay. Like I don't want to stay at my mom's house and
Yeah. Felt weird.
like adult. Yeah, like I need to get my own place. And then I ended up meeting who's my wife now. Um, we were dating at the time when I first moved out here. Um, I kind of ended it when I was like a teenager to like pursue skate. So like kind of left that behind too. But we ended up like crossing paths again and um, started hanging out a bunch. And then yeah, next thing you know, it's like we weren't even married. We moved. I ended up moving in, basically moving in. She was living with her sister. I ended up moving in there and living with her for a couple years and uh, kind of got serious with the whole painting thing. And that's how the painting thing started. I was working with my uncle, and my uncle's like, I could keep you working a little bit, but like if this is what you want to do and you want to make a career out of it, like you gotta, go in, maybe join the union. He had some friends that were in the painters union at the time,
Yeah.
and his buddy that was working for this big company ended up getting me a job in the union, and then it was just like from there I was just like not skating at all. I was just like kind of just full on like life, like getting my life together. Like I'm gonna
Yeah.
focus on work, and my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, like really put all that. Like I'm just gonna go in, like I'm just gonna start a life now. Like I'm kind
Yeah.
of just put skateboarding aside for a while and just focus on life. And we started getting, I basically took on like a career job with the whole painting union thing, and um, Yeah, I was just work, work, work. That's all I wanted to do. I was doing side jobs, working. I mean, I was working for months straight, like at points, like just like I was obsessed with working. Everything I do, I'm like, I have to go all in on. Like, I just
Yeah.
like, all right, skating's like done now. I've went in all in on that, and like, if I'm gonna focus on work, it's gonna be like that's all I'm gonna do. So I was just like, yeah, hyper focused on just working, and uh, yeah. And the next thing you know, it's like I was 24, started my own painting company. Like,
Amazing, man.
yeah, I just went all, like I said, like I just have to go all in. It's just my nature. Like,
Yeah.
it's like embedded in my DNA. I don't know. It's like I
Yeah.
just go all
Kind
in.
of, kind of the same way.
I know you are. That's why I'm like, you can relate for sure. Yeah, I'm just like, yeah, went all in with the whole painting thing and started my own company. And then
Wow.
next thing you know, got married. I actually started my company and got married in the same year. And a year later had my first kid at 25.
Dude,
So
so it was all meant to be, man.
it
That
was,
team
yeah.
manager at Osiris, I know we all fantasize about this and that and whatever, but
Yeah.
that team manager coming into Osiris, that was supposed to happen for you,
It
man.
was. It changed the
Really
whole
was.
it changed the whole trajectory of my life because like if that didn't happen, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I would have pursued skateboard. Who knows? But I don't even think about it. Because yeah, I mean, being in my 30s now, I'm like I look
You
back and I'm
started
just
your
like,
own business at 24.
yeah, I was
You know what I
24.
mean?
Like, yeah.
I oh my god, I don't even know. I was
I,
too much of an idiot to probably have done that at 24.
yeah,
You know, like
yeah, like I said, I went all in, man, and I had a little bit experience and I worked like when I first started for that company, I did everything they love me because I was just like, I'll clean the toilets in the shop. I don't even care. Like
yeah,
whatever you want me. And they seen that and they were just like, you know what? They actually credited me a year of my apprenticeship, and we're like, we're gonna start you at a second year apprenticeship because they just kind of like liked me. Because I was just like, I worked every weekend for them. Um, I did anything they wanted me to do. I did it, and uh, I ended up getting my journeyman card early, like a year earlier than you're supposed to. And I got my journeyman card, and I was a journeyman for like probably not even 6 months. And I was like, so you're telling me I got this card, and as long as I pay my dues, I'll have this forever. And they're just like, yeah, like you're a journeyman now. So I'm like, if I quit and start my own business, it's like as long as I have this card, I can always fall back on this. And they were just like, yeah. I actually went into the office, talked to my boss, and I was like, I think I'm gonna try my own thing. And he's like, in 5 years from now, if you'd be kicking yourself if you didn't try. And he's like, if that's what you want to do, like if it doesn't work out, you always have a job here. So
oh man,
I was
wow,
like,
that's
yeah. So,
it's great to be around people like that, man.
yeah, and they were
So
great
lucky.
people. Yeah, great people, man. And they were just like, kind of like, whatever, if you need anything from us, like, to help, like, let me know. And, um, I've been in business. It's, yeah, 11 years later, I'm still in business for myself. So it worked out.
It absolutely did work out. Oh my
Yeah.
god, wow, man,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
great. So you put skateboarding in the back seat for a while, and then
Yeah.
when and how did the spark come back?
Yeah, so I was actually still in the union. I was like just kind of getting married. It was like maybe 3, 4 years later. Um, I was working in the union and I was on a job site and I hear somebody like calling my name and we were actually working at the Ronald McDonald House over on the east side.
Yeah, it's like down on
And
Euclid or something like that. Is
yeah,
that?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, right by the clinic, right by the Cleveland Clinic. And yeah, the company I was working for, they were doing all the painting stuff there. And the company Gary worked for, the taper, he was in the tapers union,
Gary
and
Spear.
yeah, they were doing all the drywall work, and it just so happened, we were working on a lot of the same units together, and I'm just like, oh my God, like that's Gary Spear, like holy shit, like, and he's like, yeah, like, so he was like, we just kind of hit it off. We were hanging out at this job site for probably like 6 months together. It was a long time, and like Tall Paul was working there too.
Yeah.
Um, and he's like, "What's going on? Like, what? Like, have you been skating?" And I'm just like, "Man, no. Like, I may have skated a couple times at like that skate kitchen. Uh, but like I didn't skate at all, but yeah, I like skated a couple of times like throughout the year, like 3 or 4 years or something, and I was just like, no, like I don't even know what is going on with in the skate world anymore. Like I don't know anything about it anymore. Like I'm kind of so far gone from it. And he's just like, man, like we go out like every Sunday morning, like we do like a Sunday morning session like somewhere. And I was like, well, let me know. Like I'd be down to like maybe try to get out with you guys. And I didn't even have a skateboard at the time.
Jeez, oh Pete,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, I was like really out of it, and it was actually winter, and the skate kitchen was still around, and he was like, yeah, I think we're gonna go skate the mini ramp Sunday morning, and he's like, I'm gonna go like early, like 7, like because he was like such an early riser, and like just and I was like, man, 7.
The skate kitchen mini ramp was the mini ramp that was in Jack Prince, correct?
Yeah, it was in
Yep.
Jack Prince. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it was kind of like full circle, like going
Yeah.
back to the place I used to
Yeah.
work to go skate. So like, and
Hmm.
he had asked me a couple times, like yeah, we're gonna go, and I was like, yeah, I'll come, and like kind of just was like, ah, I'm not gonna go. And then after like like I don't know, maybe after like a month of him like asking, or not even he didn't, I think I brought up to him, I was like, are you gonna be? I think he actually stopped asking at one point or something, and I asked him at like I was like, are you gonna be skating? Are you guys doing your like your Sunday session? And he's like, yeah. He's like, we're gonna go to like the mini ramp at Jack Prince. And I was like, all right, I'm definitely gonna go for sure. And I had went like after work one of the days that week, went up to West Side and uh, got like a complete and got like a new setup and got some shoes and uh yeah, I ended up meeting. I was like so I remember being like super nervous like to go. Like I'm gonna meet up with like I don't even know if I can like kickflip any like I don't even know if I can like
Yeah, right.
ride
And
a
you showed
boat.
up and you destroyed it.
No, dude, it was funny. Like I remember dropping in on a mini ramp and I was so shaky and I just remember being like, but then I got that feeling of like slowly progressing again, like started doing like 50/50s and slowly kind of like started getting tricks back and we would go like every Sunday and I started feeling myself getting hooked again. Like I kind of felt like established in my life again, and I was just like, yeah, I got room to like get out once a week to skate. Like I could do this. Like and
Was this still pre-kids?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. This was pre-kid. This was like a probably a good year before my daughter was born.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So this was like, uh, yeah, I want to say like maybe 2014 roughly is when I kind of started kind of getting back into it. And yeah, I started getting out with Gary on Sundays, and then yeah, I haven't looked back. That kind of like pushed me into like where I'm at now, just getting out. And then I started getting that feeling back where I was like, it was such a good feeling. 'Cause I'm like, man, this is like I don't need spot. Like I can just skate. Like I don't need it to
Yes.
be like my whole life.
Right.
Like I could go out like once or twice a week, like and skate and have fun, and
Yeah.
it can just be for fun. Like I don't
Oh,
need
well,
to.
once the fun's gone, it's over. Like I don't
Exactly.
care. I don't care
Yeah.
how many sponsors you have or how big of a pro you are. Like if
Yeah.
the fun is, if that truly unique, like fun that you found when you were a kid, if that's gone, dude, it's over, man.
Yeah. And
So
that's
and that's yeah, all of us can have that. Like you're right. You don't need any of that,
no,
you know?
no, you don't. And I just like that was like that was my getting. I think just getting stuff at such a young age and like being hooked up and uh like these dreams like that's what I towards the end of me kind of stepping away from skateboarding. I feel like that's what I thought skateboarding had was, I guess, because I was so like in it at that point that I was like, man, this is what skateboarding is. Like it's like I almost was like just yeah, the fun was kind of zapped out of it. I was just like, if this is what it is, I almost like I was kind of just over it, you know? And then
Yeah.
um yeah, just getting back into it, knowing that like that's not what it is like, oh man, I'm like I'm all in again. Like this is great. So,
You
yeah,
sure are all in again.
yeah,
Jeez, oh Pete.
and yeah, and then fast forward up until like making this video, like kind of running into Derek and skating with Derek again. Like before the video was even like a kid, like before it was even he was even considering filming. It was kind of like we were just running into each other up at Lakewood Park, and like it was kind of like old times. It was just like fun. And then Derek kind of like was like, yeah, if you're like, I was thinking about getting a camera, or maybe he had his older camera at the time, and he had brought up going out and filming. And at first, I'm just like, no, no, like no, those days, like I'm not. That's the reason why, like, I don't want to do that anymore. Like, I'm
Yeah,
done. I'm done with that. But then it was like
yeah,
started to, he's like, if you ever wanted to film, like I'll never make like a video again, but if you ever wanted to like go out and film, maybe make like edits or film like a single part or something, like I probably would have time to be down for like something like that. And I was like, I don't know, maybe like maybe we can get out. Like I had not been street skate like up until that point, it was only going up to the skate park at on Sundays or after work for a few hours. It wasn't
yeah,
like a never thought about like, or me and Gary might go out and skate like on a Sunday, like go to a street spot for fun, like just for something different. But it
yeah,
wasn't like a full on like going out street skating, you know what I'm saying, like filming and stuff like
yeah,
that. But
yep,
but then running into Derek, and then it kind of just felt right. I was kind of like, man, it's just funny that the last part I tried like that I filmed was with Derek, and it would just be kind of like, I don't know, it's just ironic that like so many years later, 14, 13, 14 years later, it's like we're both like still skating, and it's like he wants to film. And um but yeah, it quickly turned into like an idea, like, oh, it'd be cool to kind of go out and skate again and film. And at first I was just like not really about it at all. I was just like, no. And then it's turned into like, yeah, let's do it. Like Derek kind of decided like, I think I'm gonna do it. Like I think I'm gonna go out and he's like, I think I do want to make a video again. And like at first had no time. It was like, I don't have
yeah,
time for making a full length video. Like there's no way. And then yeah, slowly it turned into like a thing. Like and Dan, Dan Knapp, uh,
yeah.
shout out Dan, because
Jeez, oh
he
Pete.
he was always up at Lakewood Park, and he was always kind of pushing. He's like, dude, you like, we're going street skating. Like, you gotta film. And I'm just like, no, dude, I don't like. I'm not into that anymore. Like, I got a family now, and I got my business. Like, I don't have time for all that. And Dan just kept on like, dude, just come out one. Like what? Dan was always like pushing me to like skate, and he's just like pushing and pushing. And Dan's just like full on like skate. Like he's always been like skate rat, like never never stopped being a skate rat. So he's just like,
Yeah.
and I was
And
just,
side note for anybody that doesn't know him, he moved here from LA.
he did, yeah, moved here
Yeah.
from LA, probably gotta be close to 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
um
And he
yeah, I
loves
want
it.
to, yeah, he loves it here.
Loves it.
Yeah, it's
See,
like he,
it's like everyone's always trying to leave Cleveland to
yeah,
go west, but
yep,
he comes here and he loves it.
yeah, it's like he was meant to be from here, man. It's so
Right?
funny.
Isn't it
Yeah,
weird? Like
that
I
it's not
I
even,
watch it's like his just everything about him, man. I'm like, this guy
it's Cleveland.
he's Cleveland, man.
Yeah,
It's so
like his
bizarre.
personality, everything. It's like you
Yes.
move out to LA, and it's easy to, get tied up with these people who are just like fake and all about their stuff. It's just like Dan,
Yeah.
like he's the complete opposite. He's like
Yeah.
always rooting for the other, like I said, he's always just been like, he puts himself second. Like he always puts other people ahead of like himself, and it's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, that is like, if that's not the most Cleveland guy I've
Oh, dude.
ever met. I'm just like, and then at first he kind of, I'm not gonna lie, at first I was like, I don't know about this guy, man. He's like,
It's kind of quiet at
yeah,
first,
he's
right?
quiet and just speaks
Yeah.
his mind. He speaks his mind too, which
Yeah.
at first I was like, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't know about this dude, man. He's kind of like rough. Like I don't know if I can't really see myself skating and hanging out with him. And then the more I got to know him and like skated with him, and it's not that he just wears it on his like he'll tell you how it is. Like he just there's no not knowing what Dan is thinking. It's just like
You know, I
there's there's no
oh
fakeness to him at all. It's just
yeah,
like
yeah,
you take me how like this is how you see me is you know it's like what you see is what you get type of guy, and
yeah.
I respect that like big time.
You know, most of the time I've ever skated with him has been at skate parks. Like we run
Hmm.
into each other, or like our there's we all run into each other at Lakewood and we skate together, whatever. But when I watched his part in the 216 video,
Yeah,
I was like, man, if this were like, I would say my days of like, I mean, I still try to skate really hard and push myself, but I mean, those days of really like, really going at it for me were probably like the late 90s, early 2000s, right?
yeah,
Probably, you know,
right,
and watching Dan's part, I'm like, this would have been the guy I would want to be with like every
dude.
day. Like I feel
Every
I now
session.
I don't think I've ever had like close to the talent that he does on a skateboard, but his attack and
Yeah,
his willing
determined.
to take a beating, like
Yeah.
I at least had that. I've always had like determination,
Oh yeah, big time.
a, attack, you know what I mean, and
Hmm.
willing to take a beating.
Yeah,
And people like me, you need to have that other guy with you.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? To like
yeah.
take the beating with. Like
Right.
he would be that guy that I would have needed around like 25 years ago when I'm like falling on my face to just be like, sweet Jack,
Yeah,
get up and do it again. You know what I mean? He's
right,
that
right.
guy.
He
Yeah.
is,
So great. So
dude.
great.
100%. Yeah, I give. Yeah, if it wasn't for, I mean, it's like a whole. I mean, it's a lot of things, but he's like a big piece of the puzzle of like why I was able to even why I eventually got out and started like and fully committed to this like whole project. Is like, yeah, Dan is like one of the guys for sure. He's just like
Yeah.
and he's older, you know, he's older than I am, and I'm just like watching him like
How old is he?
he
36, 37?
he just turned 38.
Oh my God,
Just turned 38 and I'm just like watching this like so I finally eventually was like, all right, I'll go out to skate with you guys, and I'm watching him skate and he's just like switch front boarding fucking night like handrails, and I'm like, damn, he's really still going like there's still hope that maybe I there's some like something inside of me that I could like bring. Like he brought out like a lot for me. Like just watching him skate, I'm just like, man, he's 38. Like not that age is everything, but it's like just total just like spark something, and like just going out and skating with him, it like totally sparked something in me for sure.
dude.
Like
Yeah.
I'm just like this guy like is amazing.
Yeah. He
Like it's
really is.
I actually enjoy like going out and actually pushing. Like I never really wanted to push myself to sk I just wanted to do it for fun. But he's really making me want to like go out, go all out here. Like you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a big motivator.
So let's talk about that. So, now here we are. You're 35,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
35, two kids, a wife, your own business. And
Yeah.
dude, you just like it it's just not stopping, man. Like,
No. No.
and here's the thing too. I I really I've said this before. I'm a really big fan of like the Cleveland local videos. I love all local videos a lot.
Yeah.
But especially like the Cleveland videos because I'm from here. I love looking at all the spots. I love seeing all the new skaters, seeing skaters that I know, seeing new faces I don't know, and seeing their approach, seeing people do one upping. Not I don't want to call it one upping, but just doing like even harder stuff than me and my friends did years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
But one thing that I always really was into in the 90s and in the early 2000s, I was always really into not necessarily like going to a trick where, me and my friends have all done tricks and trying to do a new trick or a different trick at an old spot.
Hmm.
But I was always really into like, not, it wasn't an ego thing. It was, I was always trying to look for these spots and be the first one just to do something, just to open those doors, right?
For sure.
The
Yeah.
first person to hit that spot, like no one's ever thought about hitting that or whatever, and then it opens the doors, right? And then
Yeah.
everybody can come behind and do a million things.
Yep.
And what I'm getting at is, I mean, everybody did amazing stuff in that video, but since you're on here, we're going to talk about you and specifically the attempts at the Justice Center double set.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. I've never heard of anybody trying that. Have
Yeah.
you?
No. No.
No, I've never heard of anybody trying that.
Mm-mm.
And me and that spot go back decades. I mean, when I was a kid in the 80s, we used to walk down that double set. I've
Oh
looked
well.
at that double set. I mean,
Yeah.
it's massive, man. That's a
Yeah.
huge double set.
Yeah.
And um, I know you didn't make it, but it's
No.
clear to everybody that you can. Like,
Yeah.
you can. I know
Yeah.
everybody knows you can, It's just, it's so massive. It's just one of those things that the physics just have to line up correct that one
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
You know what I
100%.
mean? It's all
Yeah.
it is. It's just the
Yeah.
physics just have to line up and you're going to
Hmm.
roll away from it.
Hmm.
But that was like one thing that, I mean, a lot of things stick out to me in that video, but that was like, that's a first, man. Like,
Yeah.
that's a first. I've never seen anybody go for that. And I
Yeah.
remember hearing, I think I met up with you guys at one point over the summer or the fall. I don't know. And somebody in the crew whispered in my ear that you were talking about going there or something
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
trying it. And I was like, "Are you serious, dude? He's gonna
Yeah.
try all that double set?"
Yeah. It turned into a thing. Like I was like, man, I really put that out there. Like now I almost felt like I put myself in a position where I had like I have to at least try it now. Like I really I really was like, oh, I could do this. Like so it actually started out as like we were just skating downtown and we had somebody I think we were skating the ledges at the Justice Center. And then you're ollie into the double kink hubba, like off the bench.
Yeah, yeah.
Um it kind of so we were like, oh man, let's but we've always kind of like looked at that like man, it's fucking crazy. Like to this day, it's like just insane. And um, I think we had went up there just to look at it again, like just like because it's just like a thing. It's like a Cleveland like it, I feel like if you're over there, you just have to at least like pay tribute to like
What the
looking
hell
at
was he
that. Like
thinking?
yeah, right. Like there's a
I
fucking
think that.
like a drop. Like literally, if you fell like it's just a drop on the other
I
side.
know.
Like
I
there's
know.
no yeah, it's just crazy.
I took my
Um,
daughters to that spot and they were just like, "Why did you
yeah,
try that?" And I was like,
yeah,
all I can say is just it was a different time in my life and my brain just worked a different way back then.
yeah, yeah. You
When
like
I
put
look
your
at it now, my stomach like goes in my throat. I'm just
yeah,
like, "Oh God."
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we were skating the ledges and we're like, oh, we're over here, like we gotta go up and check, like look at it. Not to skate it, just like stand on it and just look at it, like what the fuck. And I think there was a couple of us skating down there and we had went up there to look at it and I'm like I don't know what made me even think of it, but I was just like looking at the actual double set, and I'm just like, man, like somebody can this like nobody's done that. Like nobody's even like this thing is totally doable. Like not me. Like at first I was like not me, but like this is
Yeah.
totally possible. Like I was thinking maybe for like the younger like that kid Gabe like Minnow.
Yeah.
I'm like somebody like him could totally like this he could do this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, somebody has to ollie this thing. And that was it. Like I was just like, yeah, this thing's definitely doable, like
And then
whatever.
you were
And
like,
then
maybe this 35-year-old man can do it.
dude, and then it started stewing, yeah, then I started kind of stewing in my head and like we were with it being the Cleveland, we were only allowed to skate in Cleveland for this
Yeah.
video. We were downtown constantly. And, like days or weeks later or whatever it was, we were over there again and I was like, I'm gonna look at this thing again. And I like walked up the stairs and I'm looking at it and I'm like, told Derek, I'm like, dude, this is totally doable. Like, if not, like, I was like, I think I might want to try this. And it was just like, he's like, okay, like, like kind of just shrugging it off. And I'm like, seriously though, dude, I think I could do this. All right, like I'm committing that I'm gonna try it. Like, I'm gonna do it. Like, I was like, I'm gonna save it for the very last trick in my part, like to film for, because it's either a make or a break. So like, I
Yeah.
don't, it's like, we still have a good like 6 to 8 months to film for this video. So like, I'm just gonna like hold off, but I am
Yeah.
gonna try it. And I don't think he really took me serious at first, but and then like days turned into weeks and weeks turned into months, and I'm just like, oh damn, we're getting towards the end of the video. Like, I gotta really actually start thinking about this because I committed to like telling like yeah, I'm gonna do it. Like, and now
Yeah.
I'm like, now my palms are sweating. Yeah, I'm like getting nervous because I'm like, I'm not, I can't back down. Like, I'm not gonna back out of my word. So, uh, Derek was like, there was always a cop car. There was always like the sheriff, like
Yeah.
SWAT, like the SUVs. They kind of like parked at the bottom.
Yeah.
So like anytime we were downtown, if Derek was over there, he would like, if there was no cars, he'd send me a photo, and I'd be at work, and I'd be like, oh shit, there's no cars, like, and he's like, you got to do it, like, like if you want to do it, now's the time. There's no cars, and there was still
Oh my
like,
gosh.
we still had so much time. I'm like, dude, I can't do it right now, like, like if I get hurt, that's it. Like, there's stuff I want to do. And this whole thing started with him sending out like mass text. He started calling us all cowards at the end, and he's like, it's a joke, but we have like a
Yeah.
group
Yeah.
text with all the
Yeah.
people in the video, and I'm still convinced. Like, I think that's why he started that like whole cowards thing, like as a joke. And
That's pretty awesome though.
yeah, it was funny, but yeah,
You
so
need that, man. You need
yeah,
those friends that
yeah,
you know?
big time.
Mm.
But yeah, Derek's just like, yeah, like which cowards are skating today? Like, it turned into like this thing, and he never said that, but I'm like, I'm pretty convinced he started that because I keep pushing this double setback that I said I'm gonna try. And then oh man, what was it? And then we actually went there twice, like maybe 2 months before the video was gonna come out. And we went and I rolled up to it pushing as hard as I could, maybe 10 times. And I just had like a full mental like meltdown. And I was just like, dude, like I said I was gonna try this and I can't get myself to do it. Like, I can't do it. Like, I'm not gonna be able to try it. And I told Derek, I'm like, I'm over it, dude. I can't do it. I
God, I
can't get,
hate that. I hate
yeah.
that feeling. I know it. I've
I
been
was like,
there.
I can't get past this mental barrier, dude. Like, I just can't do it. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, we came here. And it had been the second time going there of like, I'm gonna do it, like I'm gonna try it today, and just couldn't get myself to try it. And then CJ, um CJ had came like he came into town. And oh no, this was the so CJ actually came into town before all this and like filmed a ton of stuff. And um that was his first attempt at the 21 stair rail at
Oh yeah.
CSU. You were there
Yeah,
for the
I was there.
first time, and he
Couldn't even
didn't get
believe
it.
it.
He didn't
Yeah.
get it. He had to go back home, and it was eating him up. And I'm just like, dude, if you come back out, like he had talked about, like I gotta get like one way or another, I have to get back out there to do that 50-50. And Derek, I was messaging with Derek, and Derek was like, yeah, like your part, like he had already was almost done with my part. And I was like, damn, and he was like, we still need like maybe a couple more clips. And I was like, well, the Ollie's gonna be one of them. and he was just put okay with a period after it on the text message. And I was like, oh, that doesn't, he doesn't sound very confident. And I was like, especially if CJ comes back, if he does the 50-50, like that, I think that'll like motivate me to try it. And sure enough, CJ hit me up. He's like, dude, I got a plane ticket. I'm coming back.
Oh
Like,
man.
and I'm
Now
like,
your palms
dude,
are really sweating. Oh my God, he
yeah,
got a ticket.
yeah. So CJ's coming back. I'm like, no way, he's coming back. And so CJ booked a flight, and the video was in. Dude, he got a flight beginning of December. It was in December, maybe second week of December, and the premiere was the
Freezing cold.
freezing cold. The premiere was on the 27th, and CJ came back, and second day he came and knocked out the fifth. Like I picked him up from the airport at like I don't know, like 6 in the evening the night before. We woke up, hit up Derek. Derek's like, it's freezing, but let's go. We went out. CJ, it was like everything kind of aligned because it was almost like we tried a couple of spots. One spot, the door, like there was a gate, it was locked, we couldn't get in. And CJ was like, man, he's like, I'm just like putting off the inevitable. Like, let's just go to the fucking, like, let's just go there. Like, let's just go to CSU. And we were like, all right. So went there. Basically, the first day was here, just roll, like, he ended up doing it. And
Ah,
he rolled away from it and just the excitement from everything. We were just like,
yeah.
damn, like, what do we do now? And I was like, let's go to the double set. And CJ's like, dude, let's go. Like, let's go right now. And it was like middle of the day. It was like we had plenty of daylight. And I was like, yeah, we're going. And we went and I just looked at CJ and like just him being there. I was just like, I just looked at him. I was like, dude, like, will I clear it? Like, do you think I can do it? And he was like, dude, like I got all like you can do it. And like you could definitely do it. Like just go as fast as you can. Little ollie. Like don't try to like pop. Like just go as fast as you can. Little ollie, just stay on your board, whatever you do, don't bail.
Wow, that's not how I would approach that.
Yeah.
Wow, I
And
would like ollie in like I'm tryrying to ollie over a dumpster off a flat or something.
yeah, right.
Wow,
So I'm just
interesting.
like I try, I grew up skating with CJ. We've fed off each other for so many years, like just skating together. And I trusted everything he told. Like I knew if he said, like, I don't think you can do it, I wouldn't have tried it. Like, I think he would have been fully honest with me. And yeah, he just looked at me and he's like, dude, you can definitely do it. Like I know you can do it. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try it. Like, and I think I rolled up to it a couple times, and Kevin was there too. And even Kevin was like, dude, you can do it, like for sure. And it's just the right people at the right time. And I remember I just pushed and pushed, and I got like one final push, like, maybe 20 feet or 30 feet away from the double set. And at that point, there is no stop. Like, you're too
You're
close,
going.
you're committed. And I remember I just fucking,
Dude,
I just went for it. Like, went for it.
I'm
And I,
getting dude. My palms are sweating right
yeah.
now. I've
And
been
I
in.
had,
I've never rallied that thing, but I know this. And just
it's,
hearing you explain this, my palms are sweating.
yeah. And, yeah, at that point, I was like, I'm just gonna push to the point where, like, there is no like like you're gonna push all the way up until like you can't jump off anymore. So like I got that one final push in, my legs were like just so shaky, like just the adrenaline like going through my body. It was like crazy. Like I haven't had that feeling, and man, I don't even know how long it's. I mean, it's been so long since I had that feeling, and I was just like, just in my head, like rolling up to it, like just fucking just ollie, focus on ollieing, like just get a nice clean ollie, and this just going over it in my head, just like it's just like pretend like you're ollieing like a big set of stairs, like
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just don't bail. In my head, I'm going over my if you bail, you're like you're done. And I stuck the first one, and I clipped the last stair, and just from like clipping, it kind of like it like shot me like out.
Your
So
tail,
like
just your tail hit it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think like my wheels might have even like
Oh wow.
barely kind of hit them too. And I think from my wheel, like, like the back of my wheels hitting it, it kind of like was enough to like kind of
Yeah, yeah.
shoot me out. But I was like, oh man, I could do it. Like I jumped up and like they were just like CJ was screaming, like, Kevin was screaming, Derek was going nuts, and just the energy was so high. And I just remember like jumping up, like, dude, like I could do it. Like it's going down for sure. And I was just with all the excitement, I like grabbed my board and I ran back up there and like just went all the way back as far as I could and just immediately like threw down and like pushed as hard as I could. And I was like, I'm gonna do it. And second try, I got a weird pop, like just all the excitement. I wasn't like focused at all. I was just like, just do it. And I bailed half like in the air, just kicked my board away. And I remember thinking in the air, like, oh my God, like, I'm screwed. Like,
I'm
like this.
bailing.
Like I'm
God.
bailing. This is gonna be bad. And dude, as soon as my feet hit, there was so much salt on the ground. Like
Yeah.
it was so slippery. So as soon as my feet hit the ground, my back foot like I like slid. Like as soon as I hit the ground, my feet like slid. And like, dude, instant like just the gnarliest heel bruise. And like when I slid, I kind of tweaked my knee. And I like laid there for like, dude, what felt like 20 minutes, but I was just laying there like, oh man, dude, did I just blow my knee out? Like kind of just bending it like back and forth, and my heel was like blown out, and I'm just like, no, dude, like this is not happening right now. Like, and it was like only the second day CJ was in town, and I couldn't skate. Like he was here for I want to say like 8 days or something,
Hmm.
or maybe six. It was actually only like 6 days. He came back for like a week. And it was the second day he was there, and I couldn't. And he was just out after that. Like every day, I was, I still had to work, and I was like meeting up with them after work. And through that time, he was just destroying the whole city.
So did you just get those two attempts?
No, so yeah, so I was getting to that. So like
Oh,
this whole time, I
there's
was like,
more.
yeah, my knee like that night like swelled up, and I was just like, no, dude, my knee's like done. Like I don't know, like I couldn't skate it. I could barely walk the next day. And like limping around through work, and I'm just like, dude, I'm not even gonna be able to skate the whole time he's here now. And it was he that was the second day he was here. He had skated. I was just kind of going out and hanging out and um using his GoPro to film him like do some stuff. And I was just so bummed because I was like, damn, I wish I could at least skate like while he's here. Like, and it was the last night he was here. I met up with them after work. I had no intentions on skating. Like my knee was still, it was only 4 days after I had tried it. It was 4 days later, and I tried skating a mini ramp the night before, and I couldn't even like skate the mini ramp. And I'm just like, it was the last day he was here, and he was out skating all day. He filmed like 5 tricks that day. And we went back to CSU to like skate. Like he was like so fried by the end of the day, and he was just like he was like over skating. And I was like, dude, it's the last day you're here, like. And oh, he's like, what do you think? You want to try the double set again? And I was like, I don't know. I started rolling around, and I was doing some ollies on flat ground. I'm like, dude, I don't know. And Derek and C, they were both kind of like, well, let's just go there. Like, let's just go there. Like you can cruise around, see how you feel. If you can't do it, you can't do it. And I was like, all right. So we ended up going there. It was like towards the end of the day. It was probably like 4 o'clock, maybe. It was like an hour and a half before it was gonna be pitch black outside. And we got there, and I started cruising around and like doing ollies like up top and just like eyeing up the double set. And I was like, I can put. At first, I was like, if I can get like towed in, maybe I can at least just try it because I don't know if I can push. And there was nothing like I was like a bird scooter is not gonna do it. So I just started like really pushing around, and I was like, all right, dude, I think I can push like enough. And uh, they were like, do you think you're gonna try it? And I was like, I think I might be able to do it. Um, and Derek's like, well, if you're gonna do it, like you gotta start thinking about like trying it because it's gonna be dark in like an hour. And I was like, all right, like that's all right. So I started pushing, and I was like, all right, I think I'm gonna try. And CJ, the whole time, of course, he's just like in my ear, like he's like, dude, if you could just put like you can do it, like you got to do it. And I'm thinking like, dude, it's the last day he's here. I feel like I need him here. Like I don't know what it is about his like presence or like his
Yeah.
energy, but
Yeah.
it's like if he's not here, I don't know like if I'll try it. So it's like, all right, it's the last day CJ's here. Like it's once he leaves, the weather is like we're just looking at the forecast and the premiere is in 2 weeks now, and the weather just looked like terrible. And I'm just like, all right. And I kind of convinced myself in my head, like, if I get hurt, it's okay because like I'm done like I'm not gonna be able to
Yeah.
film anymore. So like I'm willing to just like go all out and just like so I kind of convinced myself and then yeah, I was like and then Junior, I think Junior had was there and
Hmm.
he had gotten a hold of Larky and Larky showed up and I was like, damn, I can even get a photo now. Like, oh, he was there the first time too. But I was like, damn, I got a photographer here now. Derek's up there, like ready to film. CJ's here. I'm like, I just gotta force myself to do it. So like, I was far from 100%, and like, I ended up getting like 6 or 7 tries in that day. And
6 or 7 with the bad knee.
yeah, and I was like, as long as I stick it, like I stuck the first one, and CJ was immediately like, I stuck it and did the same thing, like just slipped out.
Yeah.
And I was like immediately like sat up and I was just like holding my knee and I'm like, oh dude, I'm good. Like it's good. And immediately CJ's like, how did it feel? Like how did the impact feel? And I was like, not great, but like I think I'm good. I think I'm good for another try. And
Yeah.
sure enough, that try stuck it. And that try led into another try. I stuck like every one. Like I was just like, do not bail. Like just don't bail. Over and over in my head, don't bail. And one of them I like air footed and like in the air I was even like had enough time to like think in my head like just
Put
air
your foot
foot.
back on the board.
Yeah, like just
Wow.
like land back on your board and, like because if you like don't like you're screwed. Like
Yeah.
so the one try like air footed and it was like the scariest thing. And I like still landed back on my board and like exploded my heel again. And I was just like,
Is that the
dude.
clip that was in the video where like your back heel like kind of
But
jams, like slips off and hits jams into the ground or something like that?
no, so that was like I had broken so the board I broke one of my like on the third try I snapped the tail off one of my boards and
Oh.
I had come from work so I didn't even have my car. So I'm like, "Oh, I have another board." And I'm like, "Wait, I don't have a board. It's in my car and I have my work van." And Dan was there and Dan's like, "Dude, I got you. Like I got a brand new board." And he gave me one of his thank you boards and we like zipped it together like Junior and those guys like zipped it together like super fast, and it was like a little bit longer of a wheelbase. Like it was totally just a little bit
Oh.
enough to like kind of throw me off. And I was like, damn, this board like the wheelbase
Yeah.
is a little longer. Like
So the wheelbase was a little too long.
yeah,
So
and
that
like
makes you feel like you're riding a longboard.
yeah, so my ollies
Yeah.
were like feeling weird, and then the very first try on that board is the one where my back foot came off. It like slipped off and I did the splits and just
Yeah.
slammed my tailbone in the ground like so hard. And I was just like, I'm done. Like there's no way I could try it again. And like I got up and I started walking around. Derek had like got down and started packing up his camera. And I was like, like I was actually physically like yelling, like just so upset. Like, and I
I
just
can't picture you. I can't picture you
I
yelling.
know it was
I
crazy.
can't.
Like I never wanted a trick so bad, and it meant for what just to have in my part. Like it's in, but I just like went through so much that like mentally, even before trying it, and like physically at that point that I was like, damn, I never wanted a trick so bad in my life. For what? Like, I don't know why, but I have to do it. And I remember just like
It's this
pacing
weird
back and
arbitrary world we live in,
I
right?
know,
Like we're just like we put this importance on such strange things.
right. But it was like a monumental thing for me. Like it was like I just wanted to do it so bad, and I just was like like yelling, and like Derek's like packing up his camera, and I'm like pacing back and forth, and my tailbone is just like I'm like I didn't know what I did to myself, like, and my knee at that point was hurting so bad, and I'm like, dude, I'm not like I have to try it again, like I'm not I can't give up right now, like.
What?
And I just remember like Derek's like looking at me like, "Do you really want to try it again?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, I have to try it again. Like I can't walk away yet." Like, and walked back up the stairs, and I'm just like, "How the hell am I gonna try this again?" Like, I'm like so broken. And the next one, I stuck and like dove for. That was the first one where like I
You
actually
got
like
pitched.
felt like I was about to roll away, and like.
Yeah.
I don't know if I got like all excited or something, but like, yeah. And then I like, that's the one where like I jumped like forward and like did like a somersault.
Yeah.
And I was like so bummed, like I didn't land it. And then ran back up and like, I'm like, all right, this is it. Like, I have one more try in me. Like, and I shouldn't even have tried it. Like, couldn't push fast enough. Like, and just, dude, I think I clipped like the last like two stairs. I
Oh.
like, I'm like, I'm all in at this point. Like, I'm giving it my all. Like, this last try is like it's either like gonna happen or I'm just like gonna totally break myself because I'm already so fried. And yeah, last try I think I clipped the last two stairs and like my
Oh
heel
my
like hit
God.
the stair and like actually Junior that next day he called me and he's like Eric he's like I'm not gonna lie dude like the last couple tries he's like I had to go to my truck like I couldn't even watch you try it. He's like, I was like scared. Like he didn't even stick around to watch. He's like, I went to my truck, like I didn't want to see you like kill yourself. And I was like, oh,
Wow.
well, I appreciate it. And the last try, I was just like, I was done. My heel was like, dude, I couldn't even walk. Like getting up off the ground was like such a struggle. And Junior actually like gave me a piggyback ride like back to my car. And I kind of felt like I was like bummed, but I was almost like relieved. I was like, you know what, dude? Like, I can honestly say, like, I there was I couldn't try it anymore. Like, I went as hard as
Yeah.
I possibly could, and it didn't work out. And like, I remember getting in my van, like, thinking like, it is what it like. I gave it my all. Like, that's all I can do.
Yeah.
And like, I wasn't bummed anymore. Like. All the like because people are just like oh my god you got to be so bummed and I'm just like I'm okay like I'm okay with it like I tried my best and it just wasn't meant to be and
Yeah.
um
Sometimes it's just rad to know that you tried certain things. There's a lot of
yeah
things like I never was able to pull off, but I'm like, damn, I'm pretty psyched. I even like had the guts and
yeah
some sort of little bit of talent to try to put that together and
yeah
try it, you know?
yeah and just
And
like I think oh yeah go ahead
oh, and I was just gonna say, and like, yeah, and like, good on you for the other person that actually can align those stars and do it, you know.
yeah like
But I'm
CJ
just psyched that I like went for it. I tried,
yeah
you know.
right yeah so
So
like I couldn't even be bummed I was like I was almost relieved actually like I was just like this whole wave like just came over me like damn like that's it for filming. Like I have been so focused on this uh video part for like 2 years, you know? And it's like it's over. I was just like, damn,
yeah,
like this wave of like just came over me.
yeah, wow. So let me ask you this: does is it in your mind ever to go back and try it again?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely yeah,
Do you think you'd probably try to jump on it sooner than later before you get older?
yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
like I think I've kind of committed to myself like I'm just gonna keep going. Like I think this video part kind of like it kind of like fulfilled me in a way that's like I want like the fun I like just the fun I had like knowing that I was doing something just with my friends for fun, like knowing that I was able to push myself. It like yeah, I think I'm just gonna like keep it going. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like uh I don't know, yeah, it's just so I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, just and not for anything. Like I'm like people have asked me like, "Oh, did anything come in the video?" Or it's like, "No, like no, it's not."
Well, like what? What's supposed to come of it? You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. It's like, no, like, like are you asking if I got sponsored again? Like, no, that's like that's done, man. Like
But something did come of it. What came of it is, I think there's a lot of people, probably maybe mostly local people, maybe mostly people we know, that are so stoked to see, uh, you know, you guys and everybody in that video and Derek, like people doing stuff and
yeah,
putting out new stuff and
yeah,
creating stuff. And
right.
it's inspiring, man. It's like, I
Hmm.
think everybody in that video can look back on that video and be proud of it. I think, um, young kids that don't know anybody and watched it and they're local kids are going to be like, that's going to be their thing, man. Of like, oh wow, remember that video? Like they did this, they did that, and they don't even know who you guys are.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know, like, and it all goes, local videos, man. They just, I think they're super inspiring, and not only that, but what I love about local videos is, man, it's such a time capsule. You know,
Yeah, for sure.
when I look back on these videos that William Prokop made in the 90s, or Mike Larkey made back then, Vince Franz, Charlie Rockwood made one back in the 90s. Now we all can pull those VHS tapes out and be
Hmm.
like, dang, man, like, thank God, man. Like, thank God these people took the time to go out and film all of us idiots and,
Yeah,
and edit it and make us
right.
look good. And and then it reminds you for the rest of your life of like, those moments, those friendships, those adventures everybody had, like drinking
Yeah,
sodas, watching someone else get a clip, and
right.
a lot, a lot. So in reality, yeah, did what came of it? Did anybody get anybody get a pro shoe? No.
Yeah, right.
I personally think a lot more came of it
Yeah,
than that.
exactly.
You
Me
know what I
too.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
just
super inspired. You know what I mean? I mean, I watch you guys and I'm like, oh my God, like, wow, I could look at it and go, wow, this is really daunting. Like, these guys are really, really good. But at the same time, I try not to think like that and instead be like, okay, well, that's them. I'm me. And this is super inspiring.
yeah,
And seeing these people like skate, not only skate stuff that I've grown up skating, and a lot of other skaters around Cleveland, like that's the cool thing about that video. Like a lot of people in Cleveland can look at that and be like, man, I know that spot. I've skated that spot. I know that spot. I've been skating it for 30 years or whatever. Or
yeah,
seeing like, oh my God, look at those new spots.
right.
I never saw that. I never saw that right under my nose. Like,
Yep.
so I don't know. I
Yeah.
think it's really cool. And as far as the double set's concerned, I feel like, this is just my mind. And I'm a real big fan of the, like I said before, like the never been dones, not the never been dones as far as like, okay, there's the handrail that like, there's been 50 moves done on it and now another person has added another trick to it. But I mean,
Sure.
like, no one's ever hit that, right?
Right.
And in my opinion, I just feel like that your attempts at alling that double set is going to be like, that's yours, man. Even if
Yeah.
you never land it and ride away, in my opinion. And I'm sure there's going to be somebody out there that's going to, like,
I
you've
hope
just
so.
opened up the doors that people are like, oh my God, that can be done.
Yeah.
That can be done. And
Yep.
there might be some kid out there right now with like the legs to do it and he might go and do it, or she, whoever,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And that's going to be amazing to whoever does it first.
Yeah.
But the fact that you were the first guy, and I've been skating at the Justice Center since the late 80s, right?
Hmm.
I've never seen anybody fly over that thing.
Yeah.
I've never wanted to fly over that thing.
Yeah.
So to see that you were the first guy to go like, I can do that and I'm going to do it and
Yeah.
I'm going to go for it multiple times,
Yeah.
2 different days,
Right.
and land on it. Like those weren't half-ass attempts. I mean, I feel like it's yours. It's
Oh,
for the
thank you.
history books of Cleveland skateboarding, in my
Yeah.
opinion, like it's yours. Whoever lands it and rolls away, eat great. Like that's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing,
Yeah, for sure.
whether it's you or somebody else.
Yeah.
But the fact that you were the first one to actually go for it is like, man, good for you, man. I'm
Yeah.
impressed, man.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Um,
And not to mention, like, let's not forget, like, we always have to put things in context. Like, I've had over the years where I've done something that was like, maybe it was pretty heavy for, the year 2000. And then fast forward, some like 20-year-old goes and like one ups like what I did or whatever. And people are
yeah.
like, "Oh, did you ever see?" And in my mind, my response is like, "Good. That's
Yeah.
what they're supposed to do." Right?
Right. It's the
Like, yeah,
progression of
they're
skateboarding.
20 years old. Like that's natural. Like they're supposed to, like someone's supposed to do that. Right?
Right.
But a 35-year-old man with a business and a wife and 2 kids, dude, let's put it all in the context, man. That's
Yeah.
that's superhuman. I think it's superhuman.
Oh,
I
thank
think
you.
it's superhuman for any skateboarder to do what they're doing. But I always try to tell all of our friends that all of us that are older, and especially, I skate with a lot of buddies that are all late 40s, early 50s. And a lot of us all go through that whole thing of like, oh, I used to be better. And I always try to remind everybody, like, dude, what you're doing at age 50 or
Right.
35, I'm like, it's superhuman. Look
Yeah.
around, man. Look
Right.
around. When you
Yeah.
go to your daughter's school for an event and you see all the other dads there,
Yeah. That's a
sorry, my
good.
voice just cracked because I'm like so
Yeah.
excited about this. Look around at the other dads.
That's so true.
None of them are doing, none of them would even go down the first flight of stairs. Okay.
Yeah,
You
that's
know what I
true.
mean? It's
Yeah.
superhuman. So, anyways, I don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
giving you a big pat on the back, man. I'm blown away. The whole video was great.
It
Your whole
was.
part, your whole part was amazing. But that was just, yeah, I don't know. That's just like the one thing. Like I always pay attention in your part. Other guys had stuff I would love to talk to them about too.
Oh, for
But just
sure.
with your part, I'm just like, oh my God, like yeah,
Oh, thank
first
you.
one. You're the
Yeah.
first one to fly, man.
Yeah.
To
Thanks.
go for
Yeah.
it and stick. So
But yeah, I might be eating my words, but
you don't
I'm
have to do it, man.
I'm
It's
gonna do it.
you do. Hey, listen, man. I'm telling you, and I think I can speak for everybody else we know, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you don't have to go do it. Do it if it feels fun. Do it
Yeah.
if it feels right.
Yeah.
Do it for you, right? Don't do it because you need to prove anything to
Oh
anybody
no,
else.
that's not
Because
why I
I
do it.
think all of us, everybody is just like, that's Viccarone's double set, man.
Yeah.
It's his, dude. That's in the history books. He went for it. He landed
Yeah.
on it. So
I, I think that.
you do what you want to do. Don't
Yeah.
put the pressure on yourself. Don't
All
beat
right.
yourself up about it.
All right. I won't.
You know.
I won't.
So
I won't. But yeah, I do. The back of my head, it's like definitely it's there. But yeah, nothing. This video was not that. That was like the beauty of filming for this video. It's just like I wanted to make something that I could look back on in the future and just be proud of because it's like, I know it. None of us are getting any young. We're not getting younger. It's
right.
like now if like every year I get older, it's like I want to be able to like push myself as far as I can for that year. Like,
Yeah.
maybe, and right now it's like there's things I want to do that like I know in maybe even 5 years, it's like I'm not gonna be able to do that. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that double set was one of them. Like, maybe not up until a few years, like a few months ago, but it was like I look back, I'm like, I want to look back and be like, I did that knowing that I can only do it in the time I had to be able to do it. So it's like, I'm just it's kind of like, it's not that I'm being selfish, but it's like I just want to be able to look back when I'm, your age. Like, I know you look back at stuff and it's like stuff that you're proud that you did. It's like I want to be able to look back and be like, damn, I'm proud. Like I'm glad I went for it because it's like,
Yeah.
or I tried that, or I did this, or even with the whole video part in general. It's like I want to be able to look back and be like, damn, I'm glad and I'm proud that I did what I was, you know, set like what I set out to do, or at least tried.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the only thing I look at now. It's like, it's almost like it rolls into your life, like your normal life. Like, it's like with starting a business or having kids, it's like, you just want to look back at like your accomplishments and hopefully be proud.
Yeah. Well,
So
and
that,
chances are if you still like enjoy skateboarding and it makes you happy like in the future down the road, skateboarders are creative people. I mean, like what we're doing in
yeah,
creating video parts and like trying to do tricks is a real creative process.
super.
And even like the filmers and the photographers and all that, chances are, even as you age, this is just my personal experience. It's like, and a lot of people I hang around, it's like yeah, things are going to change,
Mm,
but you're still always going to want to be like, man, I still want to try to do the best I can before I
yeah,
can't anymore. Because
exactly.
eventually we're physically not going to be able to. Like
Right.
there will be a day when maybe you're an old man and you're like talking to some 16-year-old kid that just thinks that you're some old dude. And you're like, no, like you see that double set? Like I know how to go over that. Like in
Yeah.
here, it's all here, but the
Right.
rest of this is 80 years old and it's not happening anymore. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like we
Right.
all just want to keep creating. And it's like every time we're just like, okay, I'm past that, whatever. But you'll probably find that as you keep going, you're going to be like, okay, well, I'm still able bodied and I still enjoy this and I'm still
Yeah.
creative. Well, how much can I do before I can't anymore?
Yeah.
So,
That's where I'm at. Like for sure.
yeah,
Yeah. Just kind of keep pushing the boundaries of what you can, and
yeah,
I know it's going to change. Each year is going to, like, it's a double set this year, and maybe 3 years from now it'll be whatever it is, like, something smaller. Eventually it won't be jumping down anything at all, but that's
yeah,
all right. I'm
yeah.
cool with
No,
that
totally. Your perspective will change. It'll like adjust,
for sure. Yeah.
and that's how I am, it's like, it's just adjusted. Like I have friends still that are just like, dude, you should jump down like a 20 stair. And I'm like, but I
Yeah.
feel like I've done that. Like, I feel like I've had lots of years of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my body's, it's like, I don't know. So your perspective kind of changes with everything. And you're like, well, I don't know. I feel like I'd rather try to see that weird object over there and pick the lock and figure it out.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Use
Like,
your skills in a different way,
yeah. Like, is it
you
worth,
know?
yeah. Like, is it worth jumping down something like that and then being not being able to skate for 2 weeks
Right.
or a month or whatever it is?
Right.
Like,
Right.
I
It
know.
makes sense. It makes sense at certain points in your life, but maybe
Yeah.
not at other certain points in
Yeah,
your life.
exactly. Right.
Yeah, I get it. Well, I don't know. This was really great, man.
I know
Just
it's
talking about all this, and it's so awesome. I feel like on that note, um, maybe just wrap it up. Anything else you want to like get out there to the world?
Man, not really. Yeah, we went over a lot, a couple
We
hours.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we took a deep dive.
Yeah, that was good. Um,
Yeah,
Not really, man. I just just some shout this Derek, thank you for the past 2 years. Like, it's just been amazing. Like the past couple of years, like just thanking Derek and Dan, everybody part of the video. Junior, again, I feel like it's like come full circle. Junior just being back a part of my life, which has been like super inspiring and important to me. So Junior, thank you for everything. Derek, Dan, Johnny, Sean.
Okay. Are we all good? Sorry, we
Yeah.
just if I don't edit this out, we just had a little bit of technical difficulties right as we were wrapping this up. So we're
Yep.
going back at this again, and hopefully I can just splice this together. So, anyways, you were thanking everyone in the video and all that good stuff.
Yeah, just thanking everybody. Thanking Dan, Sean. Those are the guys I skated with the most, and Kevin. Kevin's been uh, kind of just floating me some boards to keep me rolling. So thank you.
Cool.
Um, Derek, especially Derek. Yeah, been a great couple years. Hopefully we'll continue. We've been talking about it, so
Yeah.
I think we'll be back out there. Hopefully, maybe some
Yeah.
little edits here and there.
Keep
And
it
then
going. Have fun, you know?
yeah, and then Junior, big time. You know, I don't know if it caught it, but in the last one, but yeah, just him like kind of re-entering into my life. It came like full circle again. It's like it was in the old days, man. It's just cool, like having him around and keeping
Driving
me.
you out to California, man.
Yeah, yeah. It's like now
And
he's
giving you a piggyback to the car after you just broke
yeah,
yourself off over the double set.
yeah. So a little bit shorter of a ride that time. So yeah,
Yeah, man.
but yeah, he's been back, and it's cool seeing him back too. He's like back in action with just doing some artistic stuff. Like he made us all boards for the at the premiere. You could see it, that middle one hanging up. He made
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I feel
Oh,
like I
that's
should
awesome, man.
feel like I'd show that. Can I grab that?
Yeah.
But yeah, we all Junior kind of like handcrafted these boards
Oh, no
for us.
way.
It's like an old like Alien Workshop
Yeah.
like series that he did.
Yeah.
But yeah, he kind of like signed and labeled them all. But yeah, he
Oh,
made
that's rad.
pretty much in the everyone that was in the video, he kind of gave one, and then Derek got like a special director's cut uh board. So
That's cool,
thank you for
man.
that. Thank you for that, Junior. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, he's kind of been being super creative again, like making like little kind of zine. He just sent me in the mail like a little zine thing that he made, and he's like, I think I'm gonna start doing these monthly. So he's kind of back in action with that kind of stuff.
Cool. Oh, man. That's great,
So
man.
yeah,
That's great.
so maybe you'll start seeing some stuff from him.
I'd love to see him skating too, man. He was like,
I know.
um, creative skating is like so big right now, and I love it, and I've always loved it. But man, back in like the late '90s when we were all starting to like jump on handrails and all that stuff, it was like watch those old like Larky videos, man. Junior's in there like just skating his own like weird, unique way, like different takes on spots.
Yeah,
Different
big time.
the approach, man. It's all about the approach. He always had like a unique approach and perspective on spots.
Yeah,
So
super
hopefully,
artsy.
be cool to you got to
I
get
know
him out,
he's.
and get.
I've,
I
I've been
know.
poke. I've been poking and prodding, and I'm trying, but yeah. Even if he doesn't, he's there, and he's been coming out, and he's like, whatever you guys need, I'll be your water boy. I'll get you guys waters, clean up the spot. So he's if he's not skating, it's all right.
Yeah,
He's there no matter what. He said he's gonna get out more, and
good.
but yeah,
It's
he's
good
been.
to just have the energy of your people around.
Yeah, exactly. Even if he's
Yeah,
just stepping on a cruiser board just up and
yeah.
down the street, like I'm like, that's all we need, Junior. That's all we
It's
need.
all. It's what I tell so many people. If everyone's out there listening, man, sometimes all the time when I'm running into old friends that haven't skated in a while or whatever, I'm always saying like, just come, hang out, like get a coffee. Like we might sit around and just like skate a little, drink a coffee. I don't know, just hang out.
Right.
Be
Yep.
there, cruise around.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting your story out there for everybody to hear. I know
Yeah.
there's gonna be a lot of people really happy to hear all these stories, man. It's really good.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Um,
Thank you, Christian. I
yeah,
appreciate you having me on, and
for
yeah,
sure.
I'm honored. Yeah. Anytime
Oh,
I can be a part of something you're doing with the Cleveland skate scene,
oh,
I'm
cool,
all about it. So thank
cool.
you.
Well, I appreciate it.
I hope
Well,
you
all right, man.
keep doing what you're doing.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna
All
try.
right.
All
Good.
right. Well, we will be in touch and get back to your kids. And yeah, I'll see you
Sounds
soon.
good.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, man. Later, Eric.
See ya.